Hey guys, welcome to the pre-God of War Ragnarok discussion. Today I am joined by almost every God of War YouTuber ever. We're sadly missing John Ford and Shane Static, but it's no problem. We will still have a great fun discussion. So on the top left we've got Defucus. On his right we've got God of War Geek. On his right we've got History Behind the Warrior. And then below Defucus we have Captain Cuba. Next to him we have Extreme Gameplays, and of course Midgard Chronicler, and then
Of course.
me, Xevnir. So do you guys want to just I guess quickly introduce yourselves? I mean, everyone knows who you guys are, but do you want to quickly just say something individually? Right, starting with God of War Geek, would you like to just introduce yourself real quickly?
Well, I am a God of War geek, or at least I like to think I am. I am friggin' tired, and I'm just great to kind of talk to everyone here. Let's see what we got to discuss about today and whatever's to come.
Perfect. Next, we've got History Behind the Warrior.
Oh, well, first off, thank you very much for having me on. It's actually a pleasure to be able to do this because this is actually my first time being able to meet everyone here in person. So I'm super excited about that. And considering, this is a pre-Ragnarok, very happy about that. But I'm the lore guy on YouTube who comes from fighting games, who kind of mishmashes what we know of Norse mythology with that of God of War, and see how the contrasting ideas kind of fit in to kind of predict the outcome of Ragnarok.
That was beautiful, man. Thank you.
Yes,
Pleasure
kinda make
likewise.
me look bad.
Pleasure likewise.
Captain
intro.
Cuba, I like God of War. That's it. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Captain.
So next we've got, of course, Captain Cuba. You could consider him
I already
the...
did my intro.
Oh, that was your intro. Okay,
Captain Cuba,
no worries.
God of War.
What was the intro?
I've tried covering other games, but I don't know. God of War is the only one that just interests me. What can I say?
Yeah, perfect. And next we've got the self-proclaimed gameplay god, Extreme.
Sorry, thank you. Thanks for
You
having
really
me here
say
today,
that?
man. I really can't wait for Ragnarok, and I can't wait to talk about my favorite moments in 2018 game. And it's really nice to be around you guys. Yeah.
Perfect. And last but not least, we've got the chronicler himself.
Hi, I'm Captain Cuba, and I'm very excited to hang out with you.
That's not true.
Let's go. Ragnarok or something. Yeah, that's as much energy as you're gonna get out of me today.
No, that was perfect. So I suppose starting with the first question, what was your favorite moment from 2018 that you would like matched in Ragnarok? Let's start with God of War Geek.
Ooh, well, I'm not going to mention the big one because I think that's going to be a lot of people's favorites. But I think my favorite scene in God of War 2018 was when Kratos had to do the hard part of claiming the Helheim Troll's heart, and then obviously he rips it out and this, that, the other. And I just like how he paid respect by placing his hand on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
I just like how you can see he's grown. Like he doesn't just kill for the sake of killing anymore. You could tell he didn't really want to kill it, but because he wanted to save his son from potentially dying, had to perform a grueling task. So I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of 2018. That I would like to see show more empathy, maybe to other creatures or gods, even. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, it's actually interesting you mentioned that. I was looking back at that moment, and Kratos actually rests his hand on his chest, does he not?
Yeah, exactly.
To her chest, who I don't know the gender, but
Son, so I think it's a guy.
guy, yeah. So yeah, it's like it was pretty interesting. He didn't really want to do it, but his hands were forced.
Yeah.
Perfect. What about you, Cuba? What was your favorite moment from?
I mean, I'm sure God of War Geek was referring to the whole getting blades moment thing, like the one everybody's gonna love. But I guess if I were to pick another one, I would have to just go with the intro itself. God of War has always done like really amazing intros, and God of War 2018 was also amazing, but I'm curious to see how it works out in God of War Ragnarok? Is it gonna be like straight after? Will we pick up right after 2018? How are we gonna see Thor? Like, are they gonna match the emotional weight that the intro of God of War 2018 had? I don't know. I'm really interested about that.
Actually, I wanted to quickly add on that. Did you guys see the scene where Atreus is resting his palm on like a birch tree, and then there's like light radiating?
Yeah.
What if?
I mean,
What if
yeah.
that is the intro? And there was a question related to that. Could you guys see that as like a main menu or the intro?
Who are you asking?
PlayStation. Okay, go ahead.
No, who is it?
I think it's like the opening hour of the game, but
Opening hour, yeah.
I think Zesty was gonna talk about.
No, I was about to talk about PlayStation's latest video, on PlayStation Access. The first 10 minutes got us crying, and I just didn't want to watch that because I really want to go into this game just straight up nuts, naked, blind. I don't want to see what even the main menu is. I just want to go in blind completely.
Right.
So I never watched that.
Yeah, I can relate to
I mean,
that. Sorry,
It
continue.
seems like Kratos sitting at the fire
Yep.
is
Nah,
the
I
most
don't-
likely candidate right now for that.
Yeah.
From what we've seen.
That
We have
makes
no
sense, I
idea
guess.
in reality, though.
Sorry, Defocus, you were saying?
I was saying we have no idea in reality, so like I'm just really expecting anything.
Yeah. I think, well, I doubt they would put that or give that scene to Atreus because just due to tradition and the games are obviously based around Kratos, so that would probably be unlikely on second thoughts. Is there anyone else that would like to add on that with their favorite moment from 2018?
I actually have one.
Yeah?
Okay, the focus. If you want to go, just go ahead and say it.
Zesty, you good?
Okay, mine is gonna be quick. So I don't know between these two, but I really love them. Of course, obviously the whole part of Atreus getting ill and you getting the blades back, that's one. But my second one is of course the Thamur's corpse section.
Mhm.
You know where Mimir is explaining the
Mm.
story, and then Atreus is like, "Well, then what? What happened?" And then it just the game speaks without saying anything, and it just shows his big corpse. I really like that scene. It's like it captured me in there.
They have to do
The
something like
map-
that with Fenrir, I think. Like, it's such a giant wolf. Like
And,
they,
Yeah.
and actually, even for Captain's video, his latest video about how mythological the game should be, the first thing I thought of was just Thamur, and then other than that, I was like, yeah, he's right. There's nothing really that big mythological thing, Of course, we have Tyr's temple, but yeah, Thamur's corpse is of course my favorite,
I
part,
always
I
notice
guess.
that it's usually the interiors that look the most God of War-esque. Like
Yeah.
once you go to the outside, it's more like snow and dirt. Like
I mean,
Yeah.
the old God of Wars had a statue for literally everyone. Like you had
Yeah.
Loki's statue, Hades.
Yeah.
Who else?
On the Jotnar map, in Niflheim, we can actually see the remains of Althumbla, the primordial cow.
Oh, yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
giant ass cow. And I think that's going to be a similar kind of very mythological and, a giant dead creature, but it's just probably going to be the skeleton, and I'm sure that will kind of match.
Is the cow-
Thamur thing.
Is the cow connected to anything about how it started the whole Norse pantheon and stuff?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's the cow that lit the
Yeah.
ice, I
Yeah.
think, right? And,
I vividly remember something about it.
Yeah,
I
I
was like
think
just getting into God of War
Mimir
YouTube
fed off
stuff.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and I searched for the original mythology, and I was like, oh, a cow.
It's very strange mythology, I will say.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Norse
All
mythology is very
mythology.
up to interpretation because there's really not that much of it. Really,
And from yeah,
most of it's been built upon by others who just interpreted ancient writings that aren't very deep.
like Greek
But there's
mythology.
something.
Sorry, continue.
There's something to its scale. Like I heard somewhere that Midgard is a whole giant. Like the
Yes,
sky and
I
everything.
I am.
Yeah, I heard it somewhere, but I don't know where. But
Wow,
Yeah,
Gaia.
yeah, it's like literally a giant. You're living in a giant.
Well, Gaia is the same way in Greek mythology.
in Greek
Earth
mythology.
is supposed-
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, because Gaia is Earth, and technically the planet Earth is Gaia in Greek mythology, but obviously in God of War is different. But
It's Midgard,
it's a
right?
Similar concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something that bothered me about the older games is that they weren't really consistent with how they portray these primordial beings. Tartarus became, I guess Tartarus was a being, and then it became Tartarus itself, the realm, right? But like Chronicles started with Gaia, it's just it's just a giant tree lady. It's
Well,
not
I
really
mean-
Earth, right? So where does Earth come from? But
You can't really have Gaia to be Earth, because how would that work as a character? I mean, maybe
okay,
it's she's just the voice.
yeah, I'm
but
not
she
here to
wouldn't be-
nitpick about the older games. I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Anyway,
Y'all
anyway,
be here
boys,
all day.
Goddess of
what do you?
Earth as
Let's just
Um,
all accept that guy is the god of narration and nothing else.
Yeah.
Any favorite moments from you guys? Defocus and history.
Yeah, I was going to mention. Well, the blades would be a little too cliche. The boat ride leading up to that is one of my
Ooh.
favorites, but there's another boat ride that I really like. It's
Splash
everything with Zeus,
Ooh.
and it's just so well executed, and it's just such an impactful moment, especially when Atreus just straight up acts like he didn't see anything, even though he just saw his dad do like the worst thing possible.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how he's gonna. I wonder if that's gonna come back. Like, I wonder if he still thinks about that. About especially after Kratos told him he killed his own father too. And it's just so impactful because that kid was probably scared to death of his dad for the remainder of that time.
What about
I
you?
suppose.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right, mate. I suppose for me, it's the one moment that kind of resonates the most, I suppose, since everyone's also said theirs, so no one's touching this one, is probably the small interaction and conversation you do have with Mimir after you've defeated all the Valkyries. You know, because it kind of sets up
Right.
Freya as this Valkyrie queen who, you know,
Yep.
has been prophesized to be someone that's extremely strong, and of course, with her being such a well-developed character and touching back to her, you know, her Vanir goddess roots, it sets up for a very interesting confrontation. Of course, you know, in the grand calculus of all of it, she's not going to be the main focus of the story, but she's such a well-developed and likable character that it's hard for me to not get behind that side quest and just see how it all unfolds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I didn't say mine. Can I say mine?
Yeah, no, of course, man. Go ahead. No, I like what history said there. Sorry, just to quickly touch upon that. Again, don't want to get too much into the sort of theory territory, but since we have helped out the Valkyries and we've somewhat restored order, there has to be some implication of that in Ragnarok. There must be. Anywho,
Yeah.
what do you think? Sorry, was it Midgard? You hadn't answered your.
I'm surprised no one mentioned this, but to me, my favorite moment in 2018 is Freya's promise right after Baldur's death.
Yep.
Just because of Danielle's acting, that literally made Freya my most anticipated character for Ragnarok, like more than Kratos or Atreus or Thor or Odin. And I guess the moment I want it to match in Ragnarok is how they are going to resolve this conflict and this turn that they took Freya on, because it's obviously going to be a very big part of this story, and I'm sure it's going to be very dramatic and very emotional, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I was just gonna say the blades, the most.
Blades.
Most people just pick the blades,
Yeah,
yeah. Just because of
blades.
what they symbolize, right? They've been in pretty much every game, and yeah, they hold this massive weight.
I was watching a video by, I think it's The Closer Look, and he talks about like how to use magic in storytelling, and he gives that example of God of War. And I think the reason we all like that moment so much is because it's very symbolic. It's very like, I don't know, like storytelling royalty. It's like Kratos goes literally to the depths of hell for his son, right? It's just, and he has to use its own blades. I don't think that moment will ever be beaten. Like by everyone talking here, it's like the blades. I don't know if God of War Ragnarok will be able to top that. I'm hopeful though, but
That's
SMS employee said that there was meant to be a scene that was worthy of such a scene, so we'll see.
yeah.
Was this recently they
there's-
said that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
I
was
saw
that
that too.
Estelle. I can't remember her name. I think it was Estelle something.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's going to be a picking up a weapon
No,
moment
no, of course not.
necessarily.
Something impactful.
It's just like, obviously there's
Same
plenty of
level of-
opportunities
yeah.
for emotional height. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Exactly.
it should be connected to his past. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because digging up your past is always like or especially in
Yeah.
Kratos' case, it's a difficult task. So I guess it would just symbolize, right? his son means so much to him that he's willing to revisit those, his horrific past. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because that's what the blades are. Now, do I think he would go to Greece and get the Blade of Olympus? Probably not. Would be cool, but yeah, realistically, I don't think that would be happening.
I can imagine something sinfully emotional, bro. Like it's just gonna hurt me.
It's gonna be
But
a lot
I'm
of-
just 100% sure it's his past.
So I would like to add on to
Mhm.
the impact that the Blade scene has, not as part of the story, but as part of the way it was written, the intended effect that it was meant to have on the player. It was a sort of social commentary on things, because up until that point, God of War was dead. It was gone, forgotten about almost. And the blades are rusted, they're beat up, and he pulls them out, and it's just such a legacy moment. Like all the OGs that played it, and like it was just a symbol of time passing, a symbol of how much time has passed since we first got to experience, the life of Kratos, his story. And that's what makes it so impactful, because it actually it speaks to us as the players.
Exactly.
It's just
Mhm.
very like a meta narrative heavy.
Yeah,
Because
man.
like the past can be forgotten about, but it's really always there in the back of your mind, and you just got to pull out that memory.
Yeah, it still widely defines who you are in the present. I mean, it's actually funny you guys mentioned that. I'm working. I don't want to promote my videos too much, but I'm working on
It's
a video.
your channel.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Plug.
No, I know. But I'm actually working on the symbolism of the blades video, and it's been long in the making. So yeah, I'm probably gonna retouch on that. Anyhow,
Can't wait.
can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Anyway, moving on to the second question. Ragnarok seems like it will not only have a darker visual setting, but tonality as well. Considering, say, God of War 3, would you like a more apocalyptic world and darker story? What do you guys think? Let's start with history behind the warrior.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good question, all things considered. I think narratively, it has to be much, much darker. It has to. People need to get wasted. I can't go through Ragnarok and not see someone's head get split open like a pumpkin. Like, it's just one of those things. I don't know. Maybe it's the MK player in me, but like, considering just how we know it works in terms of Norse mythology, and the series kind of having consequences to actions, we need to see that all kind of unfold in a way that fits to the core of what this series now has become, and can also complement the narrative source material it does derive from. So they need to go hand in hand. But in saying that, it can only be done if there's death, consequences, and consequences to those actions that we will see unfold.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, one of the things, and I understand why, say, 2018 wasn't as dark as, say, God of War 3 was, because they wanted to broaden their audience, say. And there may be an element of that in Ragnarok too, but since, Ragnarok is this dark event that takes place, I think they will definitely, be forced to explore, some of the darker sides of God of War, I guess. What do you think? Let's see, starting with the Fucus, what do you think?
Yeah, I would actually like to add on to what he said. He is spot on, 100%. This needs to be, all out war, death, carnage, all the above, because you can't have the end of the world and you can't have all these characters having plot armor. Important people need to die. It needs to be that way, because I mean, otherwise, what kind of experience is it going to be? There's not going to be a happy ending. There's not supposed to be. And it's with Ragnarok being the end times, of course, our favorite people can survive, but there's just gotta be those heart pulling moments that you're just like, oh my god, did this person die? Somebody just died. I don't know what to do. Like, it needs to be very emotionally impactful, because, like you said, the last game was really chill, and of course that was just because it was a new beginning. But of course, we're at the literal end, and it needs to feel like the end.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Midgard?
I want to take it in a bit of a different direction. I agree 100% with both of you, but this game has a lot it has to follow up with from 2018, and I think it can and it should go darker than 2018 and have all this brutality and the end of the world. But I think it's important also for it to have lighter moments than 2018, even with specifically a new established relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and them actually being a father and son unit and be, a loving family, which we haven't really seen in 2018 until the very end. And it's important to have those, mixtures of levity, which will also bring deeper drama when this unit will inevitably be, splintered in some ways, through conflict or whatever else. And it's just it's a good question about having a darker tone, because I think it needs to deliver both on that side and the more heartfelt and loving side that they established in the last game.
Actually, I wanted to quickly add on this, and I'll ask the other three this question. And I don't think it's. I think most of you guys will agree that we miss the darker setting of God of War. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
but I
mean,
suppose.
it's still serious, but yeah, I'd like for it to be darker.
I mean, I think in terms of tone and I think Ghost of Sparta was the one who was the darkest out of all of them. Like it's just
Without a doubt.
it deals with how evil the gods are, and like you see Spartan soldiers being dismembered. It's all about like the consequences of having gods, I guess, right? And you really get to see the darkness of Olympus, right? But I don't know if they will ever go all the way back to that. But I like that. I think I would. Sorry, go ahead. Someone was talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's actually a pretty interesting point. So I was mixing a dark story with a gory story right here. And you're actually right. Ghost of Sparta is the darkest per se, but God of War 3 is the vilest.
Oh yeah,
like you can put it that way.
Yeah.
So I was mixing the two, but honestly, if you go with my opinion, of course, I want that Wolver executioner level gore in God of War Ragnarok.
100%.
They have to get rid of
Jaw
important
ripping,
characters,
yeah.
even if it's fast.
Mhm.
Like look at God of War 3's Poseidon. You literally meet the man for 20 minutes.
Sorry,
He's
who?
dead.
I love the way
Wait, 20?
you delivered
Says,
that,
yeah,
There's gonna
and he's dead.
Says, yeah, I
there's gonna
think
be a lot of that.
I think you're not gonna be disappointed. Like from what we've seen, I think I've heard that it's gonna have like multiple kill animations for each enemy, like depending on the
No,
weapons you're using.
I'm
It looks
I'm just
insane. So,
talking.
yeah.
I'm saying like that type of gore. I'm not like exactly saying that Wolver execution.
Right. Okay.
I'm just saying it has to be up there.
We're gonna waste a lot of Aesir throughout the game. That's for
Really?
sure.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fold them. They suck. Let's get rid of them.
What do you think, Geek? Anything you would like to add to that?
Well, I think everyone's touched on it way
Yeah.
better than I probably could.
No,
I mean,
go
the
for
only
it.
thing that I would add, the only thing I probably would add was like, it would be cool. I mean, I know it's been kind of alluded to with what's it? Going behind the scenes, let's say, with Thor and his family and how they work, and apparently they're very fiercely loyal to each other. So I'm very interested to see if they might make the Aesir potentially a bit more likable in some ways, because I don't think all of them are going to be genuinely bad. I just think they're kind of under Odin's rule, and he tells you what to do and you do it, kind of thing. Sorry, but I'd say that's mostly anything I could add on to what you guys have said. But I think Odin's going to be a really interesting character. I mean, it would be so good if they could actually make him likable and see his side, why he did the things that he did.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
Can I just jump in real quick? Because
Of
that's
course.
from
man.
what I saw in the trailer. That's something that I agree with you. God of War Geek a lot. Odin has to have some level of truth to his message. Like something's gotta be. And if you want him to make him an interesting villain like Baldur, like he has to have something that's true, right? Like it could be like a distorted version of the truth, right? But even in the trailer, he says this could just be him manipulating him, right? But he says, like, do you even know that what was it
Like
do
to
you
be
even...
loved and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And it's like, is it possible that Odin truly loves his people and he thinks he has to do this because only he can be the king of the gods, and he's doing this as a service, right? He's killing because even in the story recap that they released on Tuesday, they were like, oh, Odin really not suffered, but it was painful for him to let go of Boulder, that chess piece. It's like, could it be that he somewhat loved him and he wasn't just using him, right? And I
Right.
want to see that as well.
Actually, I'm thinking too. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was
no,
just
you go.
Oh shit.
Everyone go first.
All right, mine is
fine.
quick. Look,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
Luke.
thinking about two characters that are gonna be wildly different than what I think they're gonna be. So we're gonna be sympathizing with Thor. Just watch us do that. Because if he has a family, he has reasons to do all this fucking, right? And for Odin, I think he's gonna have the case of, I have to exist to keep everything in order. Like I have to be here and do these evil deeds so that, worse stuff don't happen. That's what I'm thinking. Now you guys go ahead. That was just filler.
No, you're good.
Sorry, my
So,
apologies. My head just went somewhere else when you said he may have the case. I was thinking if he may have the case of the shit. Apologies. I don't know why my head went there, man. It's immature.
What Midgard Chronicles
I'm gonna
said
cut this
earlier,
out.
I mean, that log thing.
That Midgard
shit.
meat, man, it's different.
Oh, apologies. All right. Sorry. Do you want to add to that?
yeah, so I like the idea of giving the villains more depth, of course. Give them families, make them have attachments and connections.
Like dimensionality, yeah.
But
Gotta stop
going
with
the
this
route
flex.
of a sympathetic villain is so cliche in modern media. I don't think that would be the best option. I mean, make you understand their reasoning, but don't make you sympathize with them. Thor is one of those people that you do not need to sympathize with at all because he's done some horrible shit.
I would agree, yeah.
That's
Odin,
interesting, yeah.
he's done just
Kid-
as much, but maybe if he has some more reasoning, maybe if it gets a little more specific, still don't sympathize with them, but understand, not feel bad because, I mean, regardless, they're just doing awful things.
I think
You're right.
me and you had this conversation, right? About like, there's like the typical villain has no dimensionality, just this powerhouse who's on a killing spree. And I suppose Thor is that perfect example, but sometimes that also gets boring when you're just like, for instance, if you take Baldur, he was the main villain, but he had like some dimensionality to him, right? He wasn't just killing for the sake of killing. There was a greater motive, but I suppose with Thor, if you make him too sympathetic, it's gonna take away. Yeah,
Exactly. And Baldur wasn't the one out there killing giants. Thor and Odin were. You can't feel bad for them after what they've done. Like no matter what, you can't force somebody to feel bad for them.
What if the Giants were bad though? Like if they had some bad qualities to them.
theory.
That would be just out of nowhere though, because no such thing was ever established or
Because
hinted to.
you're just told they're these good doers, but you never see a lot of their good doings. I don't
I
know.
think Cory Barlog used to say that there was never ever a truly good side in anything.
Yeah,
See?
if you look at Norse mythology, things aren't that black and white. Actually, I think the Jotnar were painted in a darker light, if I'm not mistaken, in traditional Norse myth, and they're kind of the good guys now. But yeah, it's definitely there's like this question of who is the good guy here.
I can imagine mirroring the Greek mythology games, where you thought the Titans were good people. Good Titans, sorry. And then Gaia goes ahead and does that. Like, you can't expect the best out of everyone.
I mean, maybe. Like, I never actually saw the Titans as good, though, because, I mean, there was nothing really ever hinting towards that. It's just they were necessary to destroy Olympus.
I think it's like hidden in like very outside sources. I don't know exactly where now, but I was doing research for Asteroid Recap that never happened, and the Titans rule that was called the Golden Age because apparently maybe I'm getting the mythology mixed up, but they called it the Golden Age because humans did what was right without there being laws or something, apparently. But I don't know if that's from God of War or the mythology. They kind of just bleed into each other when it comes to that.
But then it comes to other Titans. Oh, I'm sorry. Like Prometheus, he brought fire to the humans. He did a really good thing. He was an objectively good guy, and he got punished for it. Like, that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Right.
But even with Thor, like I just had this thought right now. A couple of weeks back, we heard that he's gonna be dealing with his drinking problems to some extent, and I was like, how the hell is that gonna play into the story, right? And I just realized, like, what if he killed Modi in a fit of drunken rage, and they're like, I mean, not killed, but beat him up. Sorry. And then he's like, "Oh man, I messed up my own son." Maybe that's again. Maybe that's what the Fucus is saying. Don't make him too sympathetic. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would like to see some of that.
Yeah,
I
there
think
just shouldn't be an obvious excuse for what he's done. That's all.
Yeah.
I think there should be a fine line between what you could deem as a necessary evil and kind of a greater evil, in that sense of establishing someone with like a form of complexity and just someone who's like just straight up bad shit. Like it's a fine line of doing that, and I
Absolutely.
feel like that's what they were able to discover with Boulder quite well. On the topic of Thor, I'm interested in seeing how, if like, you know, we're touching on that, how much of an influence that pays over, because essentially, if we're dealing with a character that's like a recovering alcoholic or someone who's dealing with something like that, and we're fighting them and we're pushing him to that edge and it's getting worse and worse, how long is it till we push him to that breaking point and he hits the bottom of the barrel again, and God forbid he doesn't just do what he did to Modi, but
Apologies,
he
I
just
got
lets out on
disconnected
everyone,
there.
including his own family.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. So I'm so sorry, Xevnir, because I think we got into that little bit of theory here.
No,
But,
it's fine. It's no
But it's
problem.
just like
Sorry, I just got
juggling
disconnected
with
there.
that idea, right?
Even in the initial trailer, he's like, "Oh, you seem like a calm and reasonable person." I always took that as like him, kind of not sarcastic, but it's like, "Haha, you seem like calm," because he knows he's gonna fight, right? But what if he's actually trying to do better be much better at the start? And then, like history says, halfway through, Kratos does something that just brings him all the way down, and he goes back to his old life, right? And then that's where we see the real Thor. Like I would love that.
Evil.
Like addiction, right?
I did want to.
but
Sorry,
who's to say he never changed?
Yeah,
Like,
I
but considering that someone is a warrior, it's like a switch. They have a normal life, but they're still this brutal mass murdering individual. Like they can turn it off. Like the two things are not mutually exclusive.
It's like
Right.
Kratos.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Curtis, I never thought about that because he killed a lot of the giants, and then they went to Jotunheim. What happens to Thor when he has no one else to fight? That's an interesting character question, I think.
Yeah.
I did want to add to that actually. This isn't spoilers, well, obviously not because it was posted on Twitter. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys read this, but I think it mentions Thor will have this provocative side, where he's gonna, you know, give Kratos a bit of a hard time, like you're a bad father. I think I read something a bit along those lines on, I think Sony Santa Monica posted that.
Modi gets it from him.
Yeah.
The trash talking.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Putting out the yo mama jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, he is born a prince of Asgard, and he lives as a prince, and obviously he would develop this bratty personality, and then through Odin's propaganda and a certain upbringing, he's like, oh, the giants are dirty and evil, and it is an honor for me to rid the world from them, and here's this epic weapon that I got, and I'm gonna put it to good use. From his perspective, he's doing good, but maybe something happens that kind of makes him change his perspective. It seems that his family is gonna impact him somehow, and maybe Kratos or something else makes him realize that maybe he's not doing the right thing, because it's in the eye of the beholder, and or may think that he is right, and that's the a good villain story where he thinks that he's in the right, but maybe that will be challenged somehow.
Yeah.
What I would quickly want to add to that, sorry, what was I going to say? Thor. Yeah, Thor. I always saw him like a pawn of Odin who didn't really have much of a, personal motive. Well, the way I always saw it, the way I always saw it in 2018, he had this hatred for the Jotnar, which is ironic because he's part Jotun, right? And then Odin manipulated that. He was like, okay, this person hates his, he hates the Jotnar. I can use this to my advantage, and I can wipe out this race. Whereas, say, Kratos, I've always looked at him as like this individual, this independent warrior. You know, he walks as he wants. He does his own thing. So, I mean, I would be surprised if he has his like own personal motives beyond, say, just killing giants.
Yeah, I actually just came up with like one more point to add to that, like because y'all's discussion is just like making my brain race. Thor, he's done horrible things, right? You know, he's described as objectively evil because of, you know, that again, that's one side of the story, and that's the side we've gone with. But I mean, what would be understandable in regards to his motives, whether he cares or not, is he's just a warrior. He enjoys fighting. He enjoys killing. That's just his nature.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, could
mentioned
be.
that he wanted to fight Faye as well as the last guardian in Midgard. So he may see it as a challenge because the giants
He's looking
are
for the worthy opponent. Yeah.
giants,
actually-
you know.
Bit
Yeah,
I
far,
do
but-
know another protagonist that just thrives off of this. Like he cannot live on without fighting. So I guess he could go with the same route. I don't know.
Right. Okay, guys, I'm going to move on to the next question now. What is something you believe 2018 innovated on that you would like built upon? So I'm going to, I guess, start off with this one just before I forget. So I know history's spoken about this a bit, and myself, and that's, of course, like patricide, right? This is something that's been going on since Kronos. They're all afraid that their kin's going to take over and dethrone them, so I think that that's inherently built into Atreus' nature, and what's going to fight that is, say, you know, the blood of the Jotnar. So I'd like to see that more developed, where you know you see this Atreus who's struggling. He's like, I don't want to kill my father, but it's in my nature, and he's resisting that. So I would personally like that built upon in Ragnarok because we've already seen a bit of it, say in 2018, but what moment stands out, or what is something that stands out in 2018 that you would like built upon? Let's start with Cuba. What do you think?
We're not talking about just story. We're talking just things in general.
Yeah,
Or just-
it could be non-story related. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I think they nailed the story, and I think they're just gonna keep at it with that tone. It's gonna be mostly the same. I think I'm not expecting any big changes, of course, in how you tell the story. Yeah, but for me, is I'm gonna leave combat to Sesti because that's his stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him the
But-
next question actually
But
after that.
but I just want like a little bit of a old school puzzle design back. Not a lot of them. I got maybe 3 big, interesting puzzles that are like level puzzles, like the garden from God of War 3.
The
Um,
bullshit garden, yeah.
Yeah, the bullshit. Yeah, it was fun figuring it out. Okay, but I like the smaller ones you get in 2018. But I think they got a little bit too repetitive by the end, and I wish we could see more. I don't know, more complex puzzles. That's all. I mean, that's one of the things I would want to see.
Let's go to Chronicler. What do you think?
I'm interested to see how they're gonna develop Atreus as a gameplay mechanic. I know we're gonna talk about gameplay later, but it's a very interesting and different thing they added in this last game. Obviously, Kratos was all by himself in terms of combat, and they dedicated a button to him in the last game. But obviously, he's becoming more and more independent now as a character, and it's interesting to see how they're gonna reflect that in gameplay. Because he's got to start shape-shifting at some point, he's got to probably get his own melee weapon at some point, and story-wise it would actually make sense for him to stop being controlled by Kratos in a way, because he's becoming his own god. And when Loki becomes himself, will we play as Loki by himself, or will we lose control of him because Kratos doesn't command him anymore? It's just, there's a lot of possibilities in the early game, and then also it's interesting how thematically they're gonna intertwine the gameplay of Atreus with the story that he's gonna go through in the game.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. That's something. I mean, I know there's the small minority that would that don't like Atreus in a gameplay perspective, I think he was really useful and just added. He didn't get in the way for me.
Very useful. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know this.
Yeah, no,
Upgrade
definitely
him for
really well designed. What do you think? History. Is there something that you would like
Oh, most definitely. One thing I really am excited to be expanded on, and it's pretty much no secret, is definitely us being able to explore the realms of Muspelheim and Niflheim properly. Of course, in the 2018 games, they were more of a gimmicky kind of extra mode you could explore. They weren't tied strictly to that of the narrative. But of course, considering the stakes at hand, and we've seen the Jotnar map, we've seen the primordial cow, and we know we will be more than likely seeing Surtur in this game with that giant sword. I'm interested to see how that relationship kind of builds and works. Like, what will be the conflicting personalities between Kratos, Atreus with Surtur, and how much of the primordial cow is actually important in the grand narrative, and whether or not that will actually tie into Odin's brothers like Vili and V, who we've seen basically nothing about. So, there's these cool ideas that are there. It's just whether or not they want to tap into that conceptually.
Geek, anything you would like to add on that?
Not a lot, honestly.
Not a lot, no worries at all.
The only thing that I kind of like, I've only been thinking about it in the last maybe day or two, but the thing that I'm looking most forward to just kind of into grips with is how the wolves and the sled work, that kind of thing. So I wonder if like we're on the Lake of Nine and you can just literally ditch it there for however long, and you go to the far side, and maybe there's like just summon mechanic, and the wolves just come to you.
Ooh,
and
that would be really
you can
nice.
just hop on, something like that. And they touched upon about the fact that there's going to be other ways of I think traversal. I don't know necessarily if that means like swinging the blade and crossing some large gap or something, but I wonder if they're going to use, if we're going to get to go on like Skidbladnir, where the flying ship, and just experience something really cool like that. I guess that those two things I'm really looking forward to anyway.
How about
Seeing
yourself?
how-
Oh, sorry, continue.
Oh, sorry. I was only going to say again, like I'm really interested to see how Kratos reacts to Angrboda. I think one of the most things I'm looking forward to out of like everything, because I think it was in that shaping the story.
Yeah, there's a scene.
There's a moment there where she just like moves across and touches Kratos on the arm. I was like, how bloody you're confident to just touch him like that, aren't you?
What about yourself, Defucus? Anything, any moment, or any system that you would like built upon?
Well, the systems that I would have liked built upon have been, and that would be level design, combat being faster, verticality. Like, that is all I could have ever asked for, because sometimes in 2018 it got a little exhausting just going into basically the same room over and over again and just, fighting enemies with not as much variety as you would have liked. So I'm very, very excited to get my hands on it and just be able to just zip around a whole area and just jump on top of people and stuff.
And of course, Extreme. How about yourself? I'm guessing you're going to pick a gameplay.
You're not getting a jump button, Cesty. You're not getting one, okay?
Okay.
Or are we?
Hold up. So next question is about gameplay, right? So I can ramble for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
there, right?
you know what? Do you want me to just ask you that instead?
Actually, hold on. For now, I have another thing that I have a gripe with instead of like wanting to expand. But I guess it's too late because they already went with it. And that's just the one-shot camera. I know you guys are gonna hate me for this, but
No.
believe me, for a guy
I
that just
understand this, but go
goes
ahead.
for a
I
guy
do hate you. Yeah.
for a
Continue.
guy who goes through these games like infinitely, I would say, these hurts because they're gonna add a lot of time just walking that you can't skip, like long elevator rides, even on PS5. So I don't know how they're gonna tackle that in God of War Ragnarok. Like they
We
should
don't know
fill
that.
that gap in with platforming,
No,
I guess.
I agree. Yeah. Walkie
But yeah.
talkie is a little old.
No, other than walkie talkies, like just literally, just transport yourself from one realm to another in God of War 2018, and you'll know what I mean. Like there's
Yeah.
gonna be a whole 5 minutes just you standing in one place.
the thing with that, if you don't mind me jumping in, because I guess this would have
go
been
ahead,
a
I'm
much
done.
better pick.
No, it's good.
The thing about that is that I think modern games, at least like AAA games on Sony's part, like what they're trying to do is mix story with gameplay, right? And I really don't know how you get rid of the walking sections if you don't, if it doesn't become like a game like Bayonetta, for example, which feels very fragmentary. It's like you have gameplay sections, you have a cutscene where you get the story, you have a little puzzle. I don't think if you get rid of the camera that ties it all together, I think it's you're kind of gonna lose a little bit of the story a little bit. But I agree with you. I don't like him either, especially on a second playthrough. I don't know how to fix the problem. Is what I'm saying, right?
I mean, here's the thing: is like I'm separating these two, like the walkie-talkies and the loadings, because I'm talking about loadings are they're a whole different thing for me. Like long elevator rides, or you enter that one place when you want to just use that quick stone to travel to another place. Like instead of that, imagine if we had loading screens. Like that would have been 10 seconds instead of 5 minutes just to transport. Walkie-talkies are a whole other thing. They're just connected to game design, and I don't want to touch on that because they're shit. Like, I'm just gonna come out and
But it
say
would break from the immersion if it was in the context of God of War. It would break away from the immersion, don't you think? If they just put like a
They could really make. If you guys played Doom Eternal, you would know that you can really just make it into a cutscene, but a slow cutscene.
Right. I mean,
But
there's a
yeah, I'm
difference
not gonna
between-
talk about the walkie-talkies because these would take like a 5-hour essay video on.
I will
Yeah.
quickly add on that. I
Wait.
think I think what made it bearable was Mimir's stories, for me at least, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
For
Whenever he would speak about Tales, that would just keep me going. I would forget we were even walking. But I think just because
they did it good.
Yeah, but I think the only issue is since this is going to be released on PS4 and PS5, which I'm happy about, there can't, even though the hardware is obviously better on the PS5, there will be consistencies. You'll need to keep it consistent between both hardwares, right? When it becomes like a PS5 exclusive for presumably for the sequel to Ragnarok, then maybe it'll be a bit more, groundbreaking or whatever.
Might be PS6 at that point, to be honest.
PS6 potentially, yeah.
Yeah,
So, sorry, continue. You want to add
I
something?
just wanted
Focus?
to add on to what Zesty said real quick.
Yeah, of course.
I certainly agree with wanting to break that sort of thing up because there is a fine difference between immersion and feeling like you're just playing a movie at times. Like it just gets a little it's drawn out. It gets a little old on subsequent playthroughs because you know exactly what's going to happen. It's basically like watching a movie again, like right after you've just seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way to mix it up.
Yeah, I think this year I've been saying that games like God of War 2018 are good for a first playthrough. They feel amazing because it's like you're experiencing this whole story from beginning to end. At least me, I don't get bored with the walking sections and the big load times in the first playthrough. It's only like when it comes to the third playthrough, like, all right, okay, get to the gameplay.
You just put yourself in my shoes. I've been playing it for like the 70th walkthrough right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Says he has some Muspelheim saves just for combat. Just
Oh, Muspelheim, bro! I have manual saves just to skip the walkie-talkie sections. I legit don't want them, but I guess it's too late to ask for them now. But yeah,
that's one reason why with Sony's modern games like The Last of Us, God of War, I can't replay them completely all the way through, but like once or twice a year, if that, because it's just so exhausting to deal with a lot of that stuff over and over again.
And get ready because they said crafting was going to be involved now, but I'm not going to talk about RPG right now.
I don't mind
do that. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
do
mind
that.
it.
I mean,
As
you know
long
what?
as-
You know
as
what?
long
I'm
as it's
gonna
not
be
ham-fisted again.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I know.
You know I'm gonna be fine with RPG elements. It's just because it's gonna be one long walkthrough. Then in the new game plus, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna skim through this game. So the crafting is not gonna be a
Yeah.
problem, except for the first 700 hours, which is no problem, really. Come on.
So, would anyone like to add to that at all?
I think we're good.
No,
I'm
guys.
holding my breath for the gameplay part, bro.
All right, boys. I'm going to move on to the next question. Starting off with the lemon zest himself. Your biggest fan asks, I want to have Zesty's thoughts on the combat, and I would like to add on that as Xevnir. What mechanics, if any, would you like to see returning from the Greek games? So, of course,
I'm
starting.
not gonna go with jump.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll go. Who are you
hope so.
starting with? I'm really sorry.
Go ahead.
Should I go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
for this is
Applause,
for you. Yeah.
yours.
Okay. So I'm not gonna ask for a jump button to be back, but I'm just really interested in the systems existing right now in the 2018 game and they how they expanded on those. Have you guys watched the GDC talk about God of War 2018?
I
Which
have
one?
the combat one. Yeah.
Jason's
Like
yeah. I'm waiting for that talk more than God of War Ragnarok. I want to see what Jason did to really expand this combat. Like for real. The verticality that we saw. Like I never thought about that. I was always thinking like, hey, give us a jump button and stuff. But then I grew out of that, I guess. So the combat is getting faster. That's a one. And they're like changing the whole way the combat is being played. That's two. That like that's the best thing I could ever ask for. Verticality in the game. And they're giving us that, and I guess that's all that I could ask for.
The moment the verticality clicked on me, I don't know if they showed the grapple hooks in the initial trailer, but it was, I forgot. I think it was on the 1 minute clips from, what was it, GameSpot? What was it? Game Informer?
Game Informer.
Yeah, Kratos was on a ledge and he freezes his enemy and he throws him down, and then the explosion freezes the ones below, and like that's sick. Like that's when verticality hit for me. Like it clicked.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. Like you're gonna have a lot more things to choose from than just hit enemies. Like no, I'm positioning now. It's much more important.
And you
So,
Other
realize
than
how much
that-
we needed that.
mhm.
I saw them return to their roots with all the, giving options. You know where you could grab an enemy in the old God of Wars and you have 4 options?
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, Jason is going insane for this game. Because for real, what I just saw, like the Hyperion Ram being turned into a normal move, I just felt it right there and I was like, bro, this game is going to be infinite fun for me. And I'm all for gameplay, as you guys know me.
I know.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's just basically my thoughts about the combat.
Yes.
Waiting for GDC is one of the most important things for me. I just want to see. That's a whole side of gaming that I'm interested in. Not interested in becoming a game developer, but just how Jason talks about what he did, how he approached this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
It
what
is-
I think.
It is crazy how much verticality you can achieve with just the level design, because they didn't add well, technically there's a jump button when you're jumping on a platform, but it's like
Yeah.
it's not a dedicated jump button, or I suppose. But yeah, it's crazy how all of that has essentially been achieved with just level design, right? So
Yeah.
really looking forward to how they
Yeah.
expand on that, I suppose. So
I did. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, continue.
I was like, I did see some comments saying, hey, maybe this is just for, the first couple of early levels, but I don't truly believe that. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that like 70% of the game's combat is going to be just purely that.
Yeah,
Verticality, moving from here, grabbing.
Yeah,
and
they have
there's
to establish
guys.
an identity. Like they can't just like do verticality in the beginning and
Yeah.
then let it go.
And-
Like, it has to be
And
the whole
then
game.
I saw some new stuff as well, and I was like, damn. I even noticed it in my breakdowns. Like enemies were just, lashing onto a wall, and you had to grab them and slam them down or throw the
Mhm.
axe to them. Like I love that. They did a lot of stuff. Imagine if we can use the weapons while in rage mode. Like there's still billions of stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for whoever asked for my thoughts. I will remember you. I
We
could just
agree, we
express it
agree.
all.
I
We
will
agree,
display
Seth.
their name on the video. Any other mechanics that you would like to return from the Greek games or anything like that?
Mechanics from the Greek games. I
There's a
guess
ton of
if
them.
the rage, other than the rage, just like a combo counter. I know Corey said he didn't want to see shit on the screen, but trust me, like a combo counter.
Love
No,
that.
for real.
Classic
A
Corey.
combo counter goes a long way, and only God of War 2 really used that to its advantage. Like in God of War 2, you get 25 hits, and the more you get hits in rage mode, you can go to that super explosion thing, and you just destroy everyone, and that gives a sense of rewarding in the game. Like, hey, you got set amount of hits, you can activate rage and press L1, and Kratos just fists everyone. Like that's what I want in this game. Just expand on this, like get the hit counter back and stuff. But I'm not sure they got it back. I don't know why I'm talking about it. But let's just hope for God of War Ragnarok 2 to add all these.
Do you want to, if I jump in, was anyone else gonna talk
Oh,
about it?
I'll
You
just
go ahead.
quickly say
No, you go.
the easiest fix to this, if they had like an option, you could just toggle on the hit counter, but I don't know the implications of that. Anyhow,
They can't add it as an option because it has to be a mechanic. Like you get 25 hits,
Yeah,
you can
that's-
activate
that's
rage
a
and
good
press this
point.
button. Kratos does
Just, yeah,
everything.
I actually wanted to throw an idea by you because, like, you, of course, you're the gameplay dude.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
don't you think that the rage meter from God of War Ascension would actually make a lot of sense in a game like God of War Ragnarok, because God of War Ragnarok in 2018 is not all about, but there's a lot more emphasis on dodging enemies. And I think part of the reason why the rage meter in Ascension wasn't fun is because the camera would pull out and you couldn't really dodge properly. But with 2018 and Ragnarok, you have the sidestep and then the roll, and then like if you manage to keep like this bar up, like you get more moves, or like the attack increases, right? I think that could work. But then again, I'm not a game designer, right?
I mean,
But,
I'm sorry. I'm familiar with Ascension's combat, and it works in its favor. But for God of War Ragnarok, that would never work, because
it
look,
wouldn't work.
Ascension's Rage gives you the after effect of the plumes, where you slam the blades on the ground and then an effect happens. Like if you have the lightning of Zeus, a lightning just zaps the ground and stuff.
Yeah.
It's off.
And in God of War Ragnarok, we already had in 2018 we already had that without a rage mode, and we have a sidestep, and that's a whole rewarding system in its own, and I love it. It's so unique. So the rewarding system in that is that you just sidestep instead of roll completely. You sidestep and you can like continue your attack. Like that's a whole reward in its own.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like a rage mode from God of War Ascension would really work here, especially that we have talismans. Like, what are you gonna use your L3 and R3 for? Kratos will not just put a bomb on anyone and stuff. Like
No,
Ascension.
I'm not saying copying the exact mechanics from Ascension. I'm just saying like the idea of encouraging players to dodge more, like to get in that rhythm of like you dodging all the enemy's attacks. So I don't know if there's a lot of aside from just not wanting to die in 2018, there's not much of a reward for dodging enemies, right? But
I
maybe
mean,
that's
yeah.
the arcadey person in me wanting more things like that, right?
I mean, yeah, it's really fun to really think about these stuff. Really makes you want to play the game more.
Mm-hmm.
I did actually have something else about
Yeah.
the runic attacks, but everything that I'm gonna talk about right now, watch it get retcon in like the next 19 days that we get Ragnarok in. Because like what I need is stuff that I really got from the community a lot, from my Let's Argues videos. And it's like one guy commented saying the runic system should have been like connected to the rage mode. Since like cooldowns aren't really that, I guess, honored in these types of games. They're not the best thing. So instead of like you would devote like Mortal Kombat 9 and X, if you guys played those, like you would
History
use
has.
your
History.
Given.
Yeah.
History's a Mortal Kombat YouTuber.
No, I know, yeah, I know.
He's the god of that.
So yeah, you could just build the whole rage meter, go rage mode, where the rage just does damage instead of being shitty like 2018. Or you could just use that for, some special attacks instead of special attacks being turned into whole ass runic attacks.
That would be cool. I think I would get behind that idea because it gets rid of the whole cooldown thing.
It gives you the sense of making decisions instead of just waiting for cooldowns, because you can really really abuse cooldowns if you want to.
Yeah.
Especially when your axe throws are so strong. Have you guys watched Matthew Matus's video, the case
have.
study for God of War?
I
That's like the best critique I've ever seen for any game. That's why I keep on rewatching it. It's like I learn from this.
Yeah.
That's where I get all my shitty thoughts from. It's like, yeah.
Sorry, History.
Nah, I'm just
But
kidding.
then-
Would you like to add on that
Interesting
since
that-
he? Oh,
Well, for me personally, I've pretty strong opinions of the rage mechanic in the sense that it's alright to use, I think, on the first few playthroughs, but I've grown unbelievably bored of the rage mechanic itself, because I feel like after you unlocked that entirety of that skill tree, it kind of feels one-dimensional in that sense. So for Ragnarok or going forward, I would like to see some form of rework, like even if you were to integrate like weapons into the rage mode, like let's say you have the Leviathan axe and you enter rage mode, you now get basically, think of the Berserk mode from like Doom Eternal where you just get instant kills. Like
Let's
I want
go.
to,
Let's go.
yeah, I want to pick
Tell
up a
him.
man and peel him in half like a grape. Like,
maybe too
it's-
graphic though
it's
for
raw, dude.
Ragnarok.
I mean, hey, we got to pay homage to the series'
Absolutely, yeah.
roots,
I would
but I'm
love
just
to see
kind of
that.
like I want rage to feel like a necessity to end a fight instead of a quick and easy way to stop in the middle of it and regen health whilst I punch someone when I could be
yeah.
hitting them with something
You've
far
nailed
more
it.
devastating.
That's
Could I
completely
add
how
to
I
that?
feel. Yeah, of course.
Shoot.
So I 100% love that idea. Rage mode is boring as shit, and honestly hate using it unless I'm just like low on health. Think of the rage modes from like God of War 1 and 2 and 3. Like you just start spinning the blades recklessly, really fast. Whatever weapon you're using, it's just turn into a tank, right?
Yeah.
Imagine being able to use the axe or the blades, and Kratos just goes wild. He's swinging it like crazy, spinning around, just absolutely insane. Just turns into an animal, whatever he's using, instead of just, punching somebody again over and over.
Honestly, imagine him swinging the blades harder. Like, that's all that I can ask for a rage mode while having the blades equipped.
I will say though, like if because I get what you guys are saying, but if we're gonna go like with the route of like being super powerful in rage mode, you have to bring back the God of War rage mode in the sense that you can't turn it off and use it again. Like you can't just use it for 5 seconds. And God of War 1, once you turn it on, like you're committed, right? Then you have to get it back, right? Like that's something I get why they changed it, because Jason and Corey, like they wanted people to encourage them to use it, right? Because they would end up hoarding it, right?
Because it
But
sucked, yeah.
yeah,
But there is an upside to it too. You got the little rage orbs you can step on, so it's not like you have to go through the grind of working that meter back up.
true, yeah,
Because you find those little orbs all over the place.
true, yeah.
What about you, Midgard? Would you like to add on that?
I mean, I was you're suggesting that runic attacks should be attached to the rage, but for this specific reason, because of the stones, the rage stones that are pretty scarce, like in a battle scenario, if you're fighting a Valkyrie and you've used up your rage like twice throughout the fight, and that's good. Obviously, if you run out, then you're unable to do runic attacks anymore, and that at that point is just hacking at the Valkyrie until she's dead somehow. But that's obviously a problem with spamming runic attacks all the time, which is, I'm sure, most of us do when we're fighting Valkyries, because those do most damage. But it's kind of like maybe some abilities or attacks would only be available to you in rage.
Actually, about
otherwise,
this, oh, go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
go on. No,
Go
I'm
on,
done.
no.
We're
Okay.
saying that some runics probably should remain regular attacks, or I don't know whether they should remain on cooldown or something else, but keeping them exclusively to rage is not great either.
Since the game has gone gold, there's nothing to really add now, but I'm just saying, like, that should have been the way to go, because even what you're talking about could be worked around, because like you could build rage faster. See what I'm going?
Then
it's like it's not going to be the
have
same rage system from God of War 4.
Mm-hmm. So you're
And
saying
it's not
get rid
gonna
of the
they
orbs.
can no, not like completely get rid of the orbs. Like imagine if they get chests back. Like just imagine that. Like that would make you really care about your inventory, what you spend, your magic. Because you enter a Valkyrie fight, homie, you're spending 4 runics and the magic attack of Atreus, and then you just do the whole delayed attacks with the blades, and that's how you approach her for the optimal approach. But imagine if you had an incentive to, play better instead of spamming. I'm just saying, like, that would have been better.
But I think, for me at least, when it came to the Valkyries, I would find myself spamming more for the really tough battles, like because of how attractive of an idea it is. You just press this button and you activate the runic. But outside of that, sorry, continue.
I don't think it's that you only used it in the Valkyries. It's just that you only realize it in the Valkyries because the game really forces you to cheese it, right?
That's
something I learned from another reviewer. I forgot his name. It's not Matosis. It's the other guy I watched. And he says, like, you only see a game's fault once you play it in the hardest difficulty, right? Because it's when you get your back up against the corner and then you end up like, well, screw it, runic attacks, like you just end up waiting for the cooldowns, right? So that's
Speaking of...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's good.
Speaking of difficulties, there are 5 difficulties in God of War Ragnarok. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, there are? What?
Yeah.
What are they called?
Yes, sir.
They did?
Yes, sir.
It's in between the
Give me a Ragnarok mode.
easiest level and something else. I can't remember. But
between easiest and normal?
Yeah, between
so I think
news to me.
I'm sure it said that.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be easy, normal, hard. Give me God of War, and then the latter is the last one's pretty much gonna be a go through the game without getting hit.
I
Just
hope
me
they
like
name it
God.
like give me Game Breaker God or something. I hope they name it something like that. Or
normal,
Zesty. Or
hard.
Zesty.
Give me God of War, zesty.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think that Blue Owl's medic said something on the SMS server about this new difficulty. I can't remember what she said.
Really,
now.
I need to check that out. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
right now
From
there's
Five
what
difficulties.
right now there's just so much information that I've kind of just not bothered with. I'm like, what am I gonna cover? The game is gonna come out in a couple days, you know.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
Yeah.
Not long now.
Also, it
time
could be
for
a
speculating
mode.
is kinda over.
It could be a mode disguised in a difficulty. Because Devil May Cry 5, all the Devil May Cries have a lot of modes. Like there's this mode called Heaven and Hell. You die with one hit and enemies die with one hit. Or there's another mode called Hell and Hell. You die with one hit, enemies are on the hardest difficulty. Like that could be the case, but they're just gonna call it difficulty.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Just wondering.
Sorry,
Or
continue.
it could be my web dream of them adding a speedrun mode like The Last of Us. Or even Uncharted. Like they have these modes where you can skip. You're just going through combat encounters. Imagine that.
Would you like to
No,
add
I
to
would
that,
never
Geek, by
see
the
the
way?
light of day
Geek's being a
for
bit
little
quiet.
months.
Everyone's as good as a gamer as you.
What's that?
Not everyone's as good a gamer as Zesty. I've seen that. I've seen his
Yeah, no one
videos.
is.
Oh,
But-
I've learned a lot of God of War 3 skills from like Cesty. Like I used to play very. I was really more into the world of God of War, but it wasn't until I like saw GBG's gameplay clips and as well as Cesty, like going back to God of War 3 now. Like I used that ability of the Blade of Olympus in the air when you activate it and it does like a ground smash. Like
Yeah.
I've learned that with you. Like God, this is so freaking useful, man.
You
So-
would be surprised to play God of War 2 again and just to find all the crazy stuff. Like you can do alternate Orion's harpoons if you know about them.
Half
Well,
the people
that's
have
a
no
discussion
idea
for
what
another
you're
day.
talking
Anyway,
No, see
to
the-
quickly, sorry, just
Alright.
to move on to the next question. But before we do, no, it's just because I'm
That's
just
the
looking at.
whole 1 hour of the video.
No,
guys.
it's just because I'm looking at the
Zesty,
list
shut
right now,
up.
and I'm
Someone
I'm,
said
look, I'm looking at the list right now, and I'm just sweating because there's. I'll have to cut some questions out, but it's all good. Sorry, Geek, would you like to add on that real quick? Because I know you're a bit
Yeah,
quiet.
I was literally just going to say that the only thing that I'm like really happy about is that you get to swing from one area to the next. But
Exactly.
the one thing that I'm surprised Zesty didn't mention is hopefully the possibility of dual wielding. So blade in one hand, the axe in
Oh.
another, and maybe use
Oh,
combat.
whoa.
Yeah, look, if they're gonna go
You're
like
stepping
I
in
think it's
some
like
mighty thin air.
Curtis
guys.
said, that Fuchs, I keep calling you your name. I'm so sorry, dude.
Dude, you can call me by whatever the hell you want.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you're
We're
like
homies,
private
so-
about that,
Oh,
but
we're-
like you said, like if they're gonna go full RPG, go full on RPG. Like let me dual wield and all that crap. As long as you keep the combos, right? But I'm open to the idea of dual wielding. I don't know if it
In
could
the
work,
clip,
though.
in the clip where Kratos grapples to the grapple point and goes to the other side, you can watch closely, and it's before Kratos even gets the prompt to grapple.
both,
He
isn't it?
has the
Really?
other blade in the other hand.
I thought it was the other way around.
I think he has the axe in his right hand and the
Yeah,
bow
and the
left.
blade is in his other hand before even reaching the grapple point. So I can expect a hey, grab this enemy with the blade, hit him a couple of times with the axe, give him a kiss, and then just send him to the other round. That's what I'm expecting. Like they should really
Sing them
play
a
around with
nighttime
these
story,
mechanics. Man. I love Jason McDonald.
Oh yeah.
I'm a
He's,
simp for him all day. He's
I
just
love
such
McDonald's.
a yeah. I love McDonald's.
Anywho, guys.
Thank you,
let's-
man, for letting me talk that much.
No, it's all good.
That's interesting.
Loved it.
Very good.
I don't think anyone could stop you.
Would anyone like to add on anything before I move on to the next question?
I think we're good.
We're good, yeah? Okay.
Gameplay.
Right. So this is a
Kick Zesty
very
out of this,
meaty
please.
question. The story trailer showcased a lot. What was your highlight moment and why? Let's start with Midgard.
I don't. Well, obviously the Skull and Hati. I'm grabbing the good one. I was shocked they showed this because I'm like, are they? This is a significant moment, but it seems that maybe it's not as big of a moment as we originally thought. But anyhow, I know I'm not gonna get into theory territory right now, but it's a breathtaking moment on its own, and it's just. I'm a little jealous of how creative Santa Monica is with realizing this vision and like you're imagining wolves swallowing the sun and the moon. How would that look, right? And I mean, they're not swallowing it in this shot, but the way the sky tears apart and day becomes
beautiful.
night, it's crazy. I don't know how they come. I don't know what sort of shrooms they're doing there, Raph. If you're listening, share some with me, please. But it's that was like a holy shit moment for me for sure.
What about you, Geek?
Oh, I think my favorite part of the trailer was the minute we saw what we all believe to be that Gnungagop, I think is how you pronounce it, and you see the two Valkyries.
Gnungagap,
Say
yeah.
it again. Gnungagap.
Yeah,
I don't know.
don't worry.
Corey said to mumble it. No one will never know you said it wrong. Yeah.
Is it for
The
sure what that
gap.
was?
Make it
Baguette?
into something. But yeah, where the two Valkyries show up and just the background of like the blue and well, I think it's the ice and the fire
Yeah.
melding together and all
Certain
the rock
Amir. Yeah.
scenery. Yeah, it's so beautifully done, I think, and just cannot wait to play that bit, especially just fighting two Valkyries at once.
Hell yeah.
And it's so good that you get when Kratos is thrown and is clinging on, you can just see kind of I can't remember which Valkyrie it is, but she's like wailing on Atreus a little bit, and it's I know there's some fans out there who absolutely hate Atreus, so they're gonna really enjoy that bit.
Atreus, more like atrocious.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
But
done.
from what I can tell of the previews, though, there's a lot of people starting to really like and enjoy Atreus as a character.
Yeah, great character
always
development
like
on him,
him.
definitely, yeah.
It's
What
always a bit 50-50.
what about yourself?
I'm finished.
Yeah, you want to finish that
I'm
thought?
just
Sorry.
saying I'm finished.
Oh, you're finished,
I'm
okay.
just saying I'm finished. Yeah.
No worries. What about yourself, Defukas? Oh, I think he's
Yes,
busy.
we-
Oh,
No.
okay. I just had to remember the question. My bad. Kinda
So the
slipped.
question
I-
was,
yeah, with the best moment of the trailer, right?
Yep. That's correct. Yeah.
This is very small, and you only see it for a second, but the tree in the realm between realms that has all the ravens, like you
Oh,
just
yeah.
know for a fact that's where Odin hung himself
Yeah,
from, and just
I
to
agree.
be there and actually see that,
I agree.
it feels so cool because I'm just like, holy crap, like this is where one of the biggest moments in like all of Norse mythology happened. Like Odin earned an entire few names: Mad God, God of the Dead, God of the Hanged. It's just so cool.
What about yourself, history?
I'm gonna be a very simple man because I'm like punch, cool. When the hammer and the axe clash at the end of the trailer, like that
Best scene.
got me a pop
I
really
would
hard because I'm just like, how does this get any better? Oh,
Snap.
so, yeah, I was like, we've been hearing and waiting for this fight for so long, and even though it's just like few seconds, I'm just like, I need more of that. I want more of that in my life right now.
More jiggle physics on
Exactly.
Thor's belly, yeah.
Yeah. Or when he snaps to collect back the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, so clean.
Yep.
What about yourself, Cuban cigar? What would you?
Keep it cigar.
What would you want to add to that?
I'll take that. I don't care.
I don't know. I'm just trying to be creative here.
Did you write that in
Yeah,
the script for the
communist.
questions?
Huh?
What
In the script for the questions, did you write the Cuban cigar?
No,
part?
that was just
Yeah.
improvised. I literally just came up with it on the spot.
It's improv,
Nicknames for
man.
everyone.
Nicknames.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
About it before, it's fine. Shh.
But for me, I think it would have. I mean, obviously, like Chronicler said, the wolves tearing the sky apart, like that was just beautiful. But a shot that just flat out enters me is like Kratos carrying that person whom we think it's Freyr. I think like we've never seen this before. Like he only cares about himself and Atreus at this point, right? Like why is he saving someone, or at least that's what it looks like. And it's also interesting that Atreus is not there. I can't help but getting back to my theory state of mind. I'm sorry.
Go for it,
It's
man.
just-
If it's coming naturally, go for it.
Yeah,
Let it
I
out.
don't see Atreus there, and like he's saving Freyr. What happened?
Help me
Where's
find
Atreus?
Atreus.
He's
Where's
aging in the
Atreus?
light.
Captain.
Yeah,
He needs to fight the Kraken, and there's a pressure plate. He needs to put him on it.
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yes,
That's
stay.
cool. Yeah.
And of course, last but not least, extreme. The most extreme of them all.
follow.
The most extreme of them all.
It's true. It's
For
true.
real, for real.
It's,
For
it's
real.
the best line in the trailer.
Not
yeah.
to not just about line and not to stand out. I'm not trying to be different here, but for real, while you guys care about the mythology and what's gonna happen in Ragnarok, I have this soft side for Kratos to just see what is he doing. Like, what led to this moment where he's just pleading to Atreus? Boy, I can't wait.
It's
He's
to me,
tired
it
of
seems like
fighting.
he's letting him take more control of his life before. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
it's
follow
like-
me right now. He's like, okay, I'm following you, but what the hell, man?
Yeah.
I follow. Why?
Kratos is hopeless there. I've never seen him like that.
Yeah, what did
Except
you
for the
see?
one time.
What can
Where the
you
cro-
tell me? Yeah.
Yeah. That one time where the Kraken my ass just kills Kratos. The Kraken. You know, where he goes into that vision part where his wife comes to him.
Gaia.
That's the only time I've seen him like this. And that's my favorite. Let's not waste more time.
Zev, what's your favorite?
I would agree with history, but just to be a bit more interesting, I would say
Mermaid?
Two
probably the
Forgot about
Skull
the
and
mermaid.
Hati scene, just like yourself,
Jellyfish.
Midgard.
I won.
I
I
think
win.
that to be able to see the wolves for the first time was just incredible. The way they depicted it, there is nothing you can compare to in any movie, any video game that has captured Skull and Hati in such an interpretation, and it's just absolutely
I
beautiful.
can't even think of anything else that has Skull and Hati like this.
Maybe
Like-
the Ragnarok, was it called the Ragnarok DLC for Assassin's Creed?
The Dawn of Ragnarok.
Dawn of Ragnarok,
I'm
there you
not
go.
sure if they're even in it. I know Fenrir's in that game, but I'm not sure about.
I've not played it, but I've
I
looked
don't
at a
think
few
Skull and
cutscenes.
Hati in that.
So nobody's gonna show my boy Jellyfish some love?
I was gonna mention it. Or
Jellyfish.
Odin. Hello.
Oh, yes, Lovecraftian horror.
I mean, there's a lot for real. That trailer still feels like a full game.
Every second, it's probably one of the best trailers.
I
Period.
was
of
watching
anything.
Captain's stream and I was jumping for real.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
What the hell? I thought it was just a controller.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting question, but I think like every single moment is just amazing. in there.
Legit gave it
I-
a
it-
700%.
It never stopped. It's just
Yeah.
like you don't have time to process. It's like you see Odin and then there's a mermaid on screen. Like, what is even going on?
It's like
Chris, what is this going on?
it's like Chrono
And
Cross.
still I follow.
Yeah.
But it's like Chrono Cross. It's just a well-crafted trailer because people say my favorite line is "Death can have me when it
Oh,
what is it? Death can-
Oh,
when it
that-
irks me, right?" But it's
Yo.
not. That's not necessarily the part I like. It's just like the music afterwards. Like it just goes old school
Yeah.
God of War. Like a lot of vocals. Like yes, like this is getting me pumped. The line itself is not that. The line is like the appetizer. Then the music just kind of carries you. It's just such a good trailer. I love it.
Anyway, moving on to the next question, and we just recently found out about this. I mean, people were speculating about this. So the question is, the Shaping the Story video confirmed they were considering making the Norse saga into a trilogy. What's some pros and cons you could think of for either decision? Let's start with Cuba.
Let's go. I even fucked my knuckles. This has been a topic that I like to discuss a lot because
Let's go.
yeah, I'm not gonna talk. I've talked to death about it. It's just I'm still scared about the story. They keep talking about it how there's always something interesting to do, but even now with the cosplay book, they're adding a new dwarf that's not even Derlin. It's the girl Lunda, I think it's her name.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how is she gonna play into this now? Like, they just keep adding more characters, and I can't help but feel that the story might be a little bit too convoluted, right? And this could have been solved by making a trilogy, but it's the same issue Corey proposed. Like, if you make a trilogy, these people are gonna be grown-ups by the time we're supposed to be grown-ups now. We're gonna be freaking old by the time we play the third game, right?
Wait,
So
you
I
said that,
understand
really?
it, but I'm also apprehensive about it. I'm like, I don't know about only 2 games, right?
Wait, out of curiosity, when did Corey say this?
I think he said it in was it in John's
One of the
interview or mine?
interviews.
I forget.
It's your
All of them.
interview.
It was
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said like, oh, I didn't want it to be like Lord of the Rings where people had to wait 10 or 15 years to finish the whole story, right? They wanted it to be only 2. But
Right.
I don't know.
What about yourself, Extreme? What do you think of that?
I'm actually gonna be quick with this because it's for real my thoughts. I just feel like they're gonna nail this. 20 hours. I know some people think it's not a lot, but I feel like it's gonna be good for them. Like they could have a lot of even important stuff for side quests. I know it sounds extreme, but for real, they could have it for side quests. Like I don't know. I know they have to expand on the characters, but I feel like they can really get it with these 20 hours or even 22 hours. Who knows? Yeah,
Maybe even 21 hour.
or maybe 20 hours and a
Maybe
half.
even
The
19
way he
hours.
said, like, maybe 22 was so specific. Like 22, like 23 is a little bit too much, guys. Come on,
20.
come on.
19
22
hours.
is the sweet spot.
20, 22, I know 25.
20 hours,
30.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
30,
I mean,
40
just
minutes,
40 hours. I don't know.
What's 10 plus 9?
21.
Okay, guys, dead memes. Dead memes.
All right.
Okay,
We're
let's
supposed to be having a God of War conversation here. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
ask Defocus. What do you think?
So
Sorry, I'm just
pros and cons. Pros would be it's it
Pros
does kind
Zeta.
of deliver that sense of finality, and there's a good chance that with a game as narrative heavy as that, and having it having a long story spread out over 3 games, it could get drawn out really fast. It can overstay its welcome very easily, regardless of how good the game itself is. So that's one reason why I appreciate it being 2 games. But at the same time, like Cuba said, it could end up possibly being a bit convoluted with all the characters that need the limelight. And it kind of reminds me of an Avengers movie where you see all these cool people, everything's nice. Where's the depth? What's important? Why do I care about these people?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. What do you think of that history?
I'm not initially too worried because I have a lot of trust behind the team with what they
Same.
can deliver. It's just that there's a lot of lingering plot threads they need to touch on and wrap up, which may be like a slight issue. And of course, it's being narratively different, but also quite similar to its mythological counterpart, where it kind of does fall into that field of what can be versus what is done, which can be a little bit convoluted at times. All I'm fine with it being different in its own nature. My one worry is, time-wise, how it's done and how it's separated. Like, even going back on like 20 hours, I'm actually really fine with the game having 20 hours as long as it's like a really dense, compact 20 hours of gameplay that also has a ton of replay value to it, because one of my personal biggest problems when it comes to these sort of like open world or semi open world games is the fact that if they go on for too long, I don't want to play them again. I want to move on to the next thing because I've already spent so much time there. So, I'm hoping that everything does get resolved. I'm not initially too worried. I just hope that they're able to touch everything that was left from the previous game in a fulfilling manner.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things actually, just to touch upon that, Corey spoke about how he's left these clues in 2018, so that when you play Ragnarok and possibly when we're in Egypt, we can go back to 2018 and say, oh, there was the hint there. But when you do that, you have to like commit to it, right? Like you can't just set that up and then in the next game just say, oh, we're not going to address that. So that's something I'm a tad bit worried about. I mean, I think that
With new directors as well, taking
Yeah,
a
I mean,
different vision.
different vision. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have, because for instance, in one of the recent clips, they show the Jotnar shrine for Skull and Hati. That's a good example of that. But what do you think? What do you think of that, Geek?
My biggest worry is mainly the pacing, like everybody else has said. I mean, from what I've heard, or at least what that woman said on shaping of the story or whatever, they did say that it's going to be much larger than, well, it is much larger than they planned to make it. But I am confident it is going to be longer than we think it is. I hope, not much of a gameplay guy, probably like most of you. I really do really sucked into the story, and I want each character to have greater meaning. Well, not maybe every character, but at least most of them. So if Kratos is going to kill not even Atreus. If they're going to kill this character, I want to understand why they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? So
Like a strong enough motive, yeah, not just killing them off for the sake
yeah,
of
exactly. Because I mean, it was simple
like God of War
for
3.
God of War 3 Kratos, right? He had a simple goal of just. It was mainly Zeus, but the other gods kept getting in the way, and he wiped them out. But this is different. This is a different type of war. He's now, he's got more feelings, I guess you could say. He's not a murderous guy anymore, as such, or at least he's keeping it well contained. I just want him to justified in his actions, just like he was with Balder. He gave him a chance to save himself and not do what he was going to do to Freya. Balder pushed him into it, or at least Kratos felt like he did.
And
I actually,
I'm
sorry.
of course.
I actually have a question regarding the spacing business right here. So they can maybe go around that with 20 hours if they really made some creative thoughts into it. Like maybe if you have two characters connected. Is there something like that in Norse mythology? Like two characters connected, you kill one, the other turns good or dies or the curse gets removed. They could get creative with that, like if Kratos kills Thor, Odin gets weaker somehow. And that could be a better way to just kind of resolve everything by killing only one character. And the second character gets affected as well. Like they could expand upon one character, and then a simple Draugr could come in and you kill him, and that other important character gets weakened.
Like a domino effect, right? Kind of like.
Yeah, I guess. They could do work around that instead of expanding everyone.
Is there anything you could think of about that history? Like, I'm just trying to think of the Norse mythology.
In terms of Norse mythology, definitely not. Not off the top of my head,
Same,
anyway.
yeah.
I'm sure there's something quite convoluted because, again, remember, so much of this is kind of like made up by people around campfires who are probably extremely drunk. But not off the top of my head.
I think the story around Fafnir could have like a domino effect. So, like in real mythology, apparently his brothers were Regin and Otter, which were the other two dragons we freed. In God of War's lore, as far as we're aware, Fafnir isn't related to Otter or Regin. So I wonder if maybe he somehow blend those families into one, and a domino effect. So like you kill Fafnir, and then you might kill Otter later on, or something like that.
There is that, and actually something else, and it's by doing like if you have two very strong, like you have the World Serpent and Thor. They could make something in the cool factor for that. Like Thor kills him in one strike, and then there's a showcase of Thor. So that could happen for two new characters as well. Like you meet someone very strong, and then someone comes in and slaps him and kills him.
Actually, that's a really good point.
Straight up overshadowing him and gets us interested in this character. Like, hey, this guy.
Wouldn't that work? Yet, if he exists or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of add on that, actually, it's a good point you've mentioned. In Norse mythology, well, a lot of when someone dies, immediately the other person dies. I know it sounds like common sense, but for instance, say, like Thor and the World Serpent, right? They kill each other, and when say Surt kills Freyr, when Surt kills Freyr, then
there's
Surt...
not just only one who wins. Like they both die in the process.
Yeah, it's like Ragnarok happens so fast that like these events are unfolding one after the other, like immediately. So I think that would definitely work in the sequel's favor, because you think about it, right? You have all of these characters. How could they possibly,
They can't save everyone.
Yeah, like how could they?
That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 20 hours could work in their favor.
Did I ask Midgard? Sorry, Midgard didn't ask you.
You did not.
Apologies.
Here I am, by myself.
Midgard, what do you think?
I'm coming in uninvited.
No. What do you think?
I'm gonna defend the two-game thing because before the game was announced, everyone obviously thought it was going to be a trilogy, and that most likely, and Cuba did videos about that and stuff, that the second game would be Fimbulwinter. What would you do in the second game? Nothing really happens. Like what's the character arc? What is the situation in this potential second game? Yeah, go on.
Talking to you guys, I've realized what the problem of making 3 games could be, and I think the problem is Freya. Freya ended in 2018 in such a I don't know, such a, how would you say, like violent manner that she just wants to kill Kratos, right?
Yeah.
She needs to get revenge, right? You can't have that through the entirety of the second game, and then also through the third game. It could get kind of repetitive. Like she has to go through some character growth, but the only character growth that would be acceptable is her coming back to her side. So would she be an ally in the third game? It's just the flow would not work. At least I don't see it working if it was 2 games.
Yeah.
But for 2 games, I get it. Nothing really happens in Fimbulwinter aside from the snow and all that. But I always liked the idea that Odin had some trickery with. It was just tricking people, and he dies at the beginning of the game or in the middle of the game, and then Thor takes his place as the king of the gods or something, and then Thor is thrusted upon this role of that has a lot of responsibilities, right? But again, like the whole Freya thing kind of throws a monkey wrench into it. So I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. Yeah.
They teased Ragnarok at the end of the last game. We started Fimbulwinter, and then to go the whole next game without having Ragnarok is a little bit blue, you know. And and to be honest, we're talking about how many characters there are. In reality, I've talked about this before in the Focus stream. There are only 5 key characters who really need an arc and a resolution, and that's Kratos, Atreus, Freya, Thor, and Odin. And everyone else is kind of a background character, you know, a supporting character. Like, you know, we're getting a new dwarf, Lunda, whatever, in Durlin, and they're probably Durlin's going to be like, oh, here's this key to Tears, where Tears held up, help me do this, and I'm going to give it to you. And that's kind of the extent of that, you know. All the other characters would either be like a supporting character or a boss who would get rid of pretty quickly. So
Exactly.
I'm not really concerned about the pacing or the length of the story, because it's good. You know, 2018 was pretty slow at times, and all of you have talked a lot about how slow it is at times, and keeping it up a little more and having a more a faster pace, but not, you know, super fast. I think it's very achievable, and I think they can make it work pretty well in the time that they have. It just makes sense the more I think about it.
To be honest, if God of War 4 wasn't a game like a whole formula semi-remake, they could have had Fimbulwinter in that game as well, but I guess it's a wasted opportunity now. Like, that game could have been the story of Faye and Fimbulwinter somehow.
But I think that would be
at
too
least
much to
halfway
cover.
through Fimbulwinter, and then the second game would kill it off of Ragnarok. But let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, that's the next question. Okay, so I guess this kind of relates to what we were talking about. Let's obviously keep it positive, but is there anything you guys are kind of nervous about? Let's start with Defocus.
Ooh. So, it's finally rearing its head, and that head is attached to the body of the RPG elements. In the first game, it felt very, very ham-fisted and just unnecessary. It would have been just fine without it. Cool. I mean, of course, armor sets that add perks and whatnot, but I do not like the idea of constantly finding loot. That is the exact same thing as what you just had, but a little bit better. I want it to be worth upgrading something. I want, you know, the crafting to be worth doing, which in 2018 it somewhat is, because a lot of those armors are really good, but 10 minutes later you get something that's even better. I just hope that that's more refined, and sometimes less is more. There doesn't need to be as much armor sets or as many talismans or as many runic abilities, because I mean, in reality, did y'all use every single thing that there was? Probably
Absolutely not.
because you constantly found something better.
And also felt kind of overwhelmed by a lot of the armor
Exactly.
options and the runic options. So yeah, less is more.
Enchantments specifically.
Yeah.
Can I touch upon that like real quick? Like,
Of course,
the
yeah.
whole
Go
RPG
ahead,
thing.
dude.
Of course.
Yeah,
Definitely.
not to harp on it, but it's just that even if they do crafting well and all of these things, yeah, it'll be a good RPG game, right? But the thing with me is that I just don't like RPG games, because RPG just come with so many menus. I hate menus so much. The moment you're in a menu, you're not playing the game, right? And it was such an odd decision, in my opinion, to include it in a game like God of War 2018 with this whole philosophy of never cutting. In a funny way, God of War 2018 is the game that cuts the most because you have to open these menus and just like, let me see what this stat does. Like it takes me out of the experience completely. And I'm really worried about the whole crafting thing. Like, I don't want to be crafting. Why would I want to do that? I just want to use my axe and the blades of chaos. That's all.
This ain't Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
What about yourself,
That would be
Extreme?
What?
What
No,
about
I said
yourself?
that would be my complaint. Go ahead. The thing that worries me. Sorry.
Whose turn is it? Me?
Yeah, it's you, man.
Yeah.
Oh. So the question was, what am I worried about?
Yeah. Keeping it as positive
I
as
guess-
possible, but like kind of
I
constructive.
guess if I want to keep it as positive as possible, it would be just the performance of the game, honestly. Because I don't want to touch on the story and the pacing and the gameplay. I just want to see a good running game. Because if they're expanding this much on the story, we have Ragnarok, and we are expanding this much on gameplay. I'm expecting the best game of the decade, possible.
Dude, it's gonna be 4K, 120 frames a second.
Of course, bro.
60 frames, yeah.
It's already been elaborated. It's a very well performing, very well optimized game, so there's no worries there.
Then I guess my only thing that I'm worried about is how they're gonna handle bosses. Nothing else. Okay, I guess big bosses have to have a fun gimmick. Raisler is one of my favorite colossal bosses.
Yes.
Other than that, small bosses have to be fun, man. They're actually 90% of the bosses are fun in God of War 4. And the 90 I'm just talking about Magnum Modi, Baldur, Sigrun. Raisler is big. So I hope they keep the same energy, is all that I'm saying.
I thought you didn't like the Baldur one at the end.
Oh, I actually turned that. I did a reverse snap for that, and now I
yeah?
love him.
Reverse
yeah?
snap.
You have a video of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll check
I
it out.
apologized completely to him in dramatic fashion.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, that's your style.
I'm sorry, Baldur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Geek?
I think the only thing.
Oh, he cut out.
Oh, but. Oh, am I here? Can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
hear me?
we can
Yeah,
hear
you're
you.
back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I thought I cut off there. No, the only thing or at least I was nervous about was the amount of bosses. I mean, probably a dumb thing to think about because this is meant to be bigger and should be better, but it was only earlier today, I think, on that blog posted on PlayStation page. Actually, sorry, no, I'm wrong. It was a preview. One of the previewers said that we are like in the fought like more mini bosses and different variety of enemies in that first. No, I don't know if they said 10 minutes or an hour or something like that, but the amount of bosses and mini bosses that we're going to get to fight is so much bigger now and hopefully better. So that was something I was really nervous about, but thankfully for that, I am no longer have any worries about that at all. Other than that, I think it's just the story, maybe that, like, hopefully, the things that they built up, like who blew the horn mural. I mean, again, probably
Yeah,
fun to
just
say,
like
but
tying the loose
as
ends
long-
up. Yep.
yeah, they have to address these things. The things that they've really built up, they can't just ignore it. And I hope they stick well to the law. I hope they don't just make changes just to suit the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like Thor, for me, is like my interpretation of Thor is lore and legends. They kind of make out that he's not as strong as without the hammer. When he's got the hammer, he's absolutely a titan, like capable of fighting like Kratos anybody. Without the hammer, he doesn't really have many feats, bar maybe ripping off Starcast's arms. So I hope they don't make Thor too ridiculously strong compared to Kratos, stuff like that. Probably very minor things I'm nervous about.
I could see them being like equals, right? They're like, whoa, I've never came across an equal opponent like this, not even Zeus, you know?
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
Very similar, at least.
I want them on par, actually, instead of just Atreus helping.
Like they
50%.
can't,
I
like
don't-
they
I
kind
don't
of cancel
want
each other out,
Atreus.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
don't want
Atreus
Atreus
was
to
helping big time with Baldur.
We haven't. I don't think we've covered this, but I think we've. I think it's safe to say that Tyr will play a role in combat as well.
Oh, I
So-
forgot
You
about
think?
that guy.
Yeah, because we just see him walking with Kratos. Like, there's no way he's just gonna stand aside and let Kratos and Atreus fight. How is that gonna look in combat? I've brought it back to like things I'm excited about. I complained about
mean-
the RPGs, and I'm about to. So yeah, like How would that look? Would he throw enemies at Kratos? Like that would be sick, and just you
But-
can just
But
like
Captain,
yeah.
Tyr is crippled.
what are you talking about?
Not yet.
Isn't he
Right.
sitting in the background while you're fighting? I saw a clip in the trailer. He's not gonna fight.
I think I
think he's
think
inspecting
because
the-
he's so humane, he may refuse to harm anyone. He may go like, I am.
Aw.
Yeah, I'm so.
he's dragging an
peaceful,
elf.
I'm not gonna hurt a soul. Yeah, so
Way better
already
than you
dead.
guys.
But isn't Tyr dragging an elf in Alfheim in the trailer?
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
already
so it
dead,
doesn't
though,
mean he
so-
killed it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's merely the
See that
execution.
elf? Kill him.
And it's cool about he's actually using the light elf to create the bridge itself. Like he's just dragging it and it's creating the light as they're walking. I
Yes.
thought it was a cool. Yeah,
Speaking of
someone,
light, yo.
someone pointed
Oh,
that
go
out
ahead,
to
go
me
ahead.
in the comments. Yeah, it was
Let
really
me
cool.
check that out right now.
Are you
Yeah.
certain
On
it
my
doesn't
mind.
connect from one end to the other? Are you certain that it's actually making the bridge?
Well, I mean, I'm not certain of anything, but when you
Not
look at it,
chew
you
my
can,
own horn.
you can see that in front of his legs, the light is not formed yet, and as he's getting closer to it, the light forms. So the theory someone proposes that he's using the light elf because of that, because the light elf doesn't need a bow that turns on the bridges. He can just walk, right? And it creates a bridge, right? So I thought it was a cool detail that could
Sound
might not be right, but I thought it was cool.
Oh yeah! Wow, you're
that
right.
right?
I think it's hard. It's hard to see because the bridge kind of angles,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
looks like it's kind of appearing slowly. Wow, that's crazy.
That is.
I
cool.
never saw that. It's
And
pretty awesome.
it's interesting because that's very Kratos. That whole idea of like taking a dead body, like Chronicler said, like, oh, he's carrying the dead guy to put him on a pressure pad so he can kill the Kraken. That whole thing of dragging the light elf in such a it almost looks disrespectful. He's just like, whatever, come here. Like he's just, I need to form the bridge, right? Like
We
it's
do
just,
what
it's
is
so
necessary.
Kratos.
Yeah.
Necessary
Yeah.
evil type of thing.
Yeah, and I wonder if the whole dynamic between them is if Kratos is gonna become more like Tyr and Tyr is gonna become more like Kratos, right? Like
Yeah, that would be
I like-
awesome.
that could be interesting. Seeing like Tyr's like, yeah, maybe it's not all about peace. Maybe sometimes you have to get your hands dirty, right?
Actually, yeah, about that scene. There's that one scene where Tyr's holding one of the blades of chaos and they both shake it. I'm just sorry. That just retconned these last 10 minutes.
Kind of late. You want lunch now or later?
Xevnir, I'm sorry. How long were you planning on doing this for?
Oh, just there's another 3 or 4 questions left. It should be done within the next, I imagine, 25 minutes. If that's
25
okay.
minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm timing.
Oh,
Tell 'em
she's
timing.
timing. You're gonna
Okay,
be in
okay.
trouble.
No, no. I'll
Hi, Kona.
Yeah.
tell her we
Sorry
say
about that,
hi.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah. They
Hi.
said hi. She said hi. too. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue, Sabrina. My bad.
So I guess Midgard. Do you want to add to that, and then I'll go into Warrior after you.
What were we talking about?
Anything you're nervous
Straight
about?
away.
Oh yeah. The more I think about it, the less I'm nervous about it. But if there was one thing, is that this is a
Bald.
very bald. Yeah, he's still bald. That's kind of stupid. I'm gonna lie
Yeah,
about
I
that.
need the
But
hair, man.
other than that, obviously Ragnarok is the end of the Norse saga, and we gotta go somewhere from there. You know, I doubt any of us think that God of War will end with this game, and it's worrying a little bit about how they're gonna set up the continuation and how they're gonna handle the ending of this game. Whether, you know, obviously everyone's talking about whether Kratos is gonna die or not, and what are they gonna do from there? And hopefully it's gonna be whatever they decide to do, and however they decide to set up the next entry, it's gonna be not tacked on and natural. You know, that's kind of the only thing.
I don't know if you. I'm not gonna talk about it, just in case it is real. The spoiler that happened a couple months ago, but it was funny how the spoiler said the game ended. I'm not gonna say it. I don't think it's real though. But anyway.
I
Uh,
honestly don't even remember what it says.
It was
Yeah,
really
probably
stupid.
best to stay
It
away
was
from
really
it, just so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't
No, I
promote like
understand.
false
I mean,
information.
Jaffe's idea of God of War 3 was also stupid, so
Yeah,
Which one?
If it's stupid, where everyone comes in and
I mean, the
I
thing
don't know
about
how the story
ideas
was
is
supposed
that
to be.
all of them sound stupid until you start to make it like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. Because, dude,
yeah,
it's
that's why I'm saying it's
it's
like
a
imagine
middle-aged
if
man
that
and a
theory.
kid going to another realm to spread ashes. I mean, like that sounds kind of stupid when you say it like that. Right?
Yeah.
So David Jaffe saying, Zeus dies at the beginning, and then the Egyptian gods give it. It sounds stupid, right? But it could work. I don't know. Sorry. Go ahead.
How about yourself,
What was it?
Warrior?
I suppose my only worries about it is that will the boat animation still be the same? Sorry. No, honestly,
do a
I
backflip.
suppose yes, do a backflip into
Yeah.
it. But I suppose in that instance, I do have the mild opinion of I would like completely new finishers on enemy types instead of previous existing ones from the 2018 game, or at least if I tackle them, I'm given a variety of options of how I want to like dissect them. While this entire time
This
I've been on this
man.
podcast, I've been talking about pulling people apart.
This
So,
I'm
man,
a fan. What do you expect, man? That's what he does, man.
man, you
Yeah.
understand me.
Yeah, because like that's the beauty of these things. Like, given a variety of tools of what we already have, it only naturally helps us to be kind of curious of what's there. Like, do we, with weapons in hand, do we get different executions from it? Do we, if it's barehanded, for example, do we get 2 executions? You get to choose, like, when you tackle with the giants, for example, and you climb on his shoulders, you can club them. Depending on whether or not you go for a light strike or a heavy strike, is there a different outcome to it? Like, that sort of stuff, I think is really good and quite healthy to naturally explore in game, just to add different levels to what already exists and clearly a working formula.
Like kind of innovate, or not really innovating, but sorry, building on an existing formula with the foundation laid by 2018.
Yeah, it's literally adding coats of paint to something that already works and
Yeah,
functions. So
that's a good way of
that's
putting
how
it, yeah.
I'm kind of looking at it, and just like, that'd be a really cool idea, but it's a lot of extra effort. So I don't know. Either way, I'd like to see some new ones, because I mean, everyone's favorite here, I'm pretty sure, is the Woven one where you split the jaw in half.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's very, very good. It's fucking visceral, but
So good.
like it fits into what God of War kind of does. I know we're straying a little bit away from it, but you know, let's put our feet in the roots and like at least pay homage or bring that to the forefront.
Perfect. Yeah, and just
Actually,
would you like to add to that? Yeah.
I'm sorry. If I could add one more small thing, is that I really want the tedium of the 2018 games to be gone. Like, you know, where Kratos grabs this big blue crystal and just walks so slowly. I want him to
Yeah.
straight up, you know, just have it in one hand and just
I would agree.
sprint, full sprint.
Yeah,
Now
that
they're
was
that could
carrying
be
dead
so
light
on.
elves
good.
to do that. They don't need crystals anymore. They're just
For real,
carrying
he
elves
could just, you
around.
know, they could even make
Juggle it.
fun of the industry with this, like using Kratos' strength to just get rid of the other game's tedium. That's something Matthew said as well. Like these pushing boxes around, that could be the fastest thing in all of gaming. Go there, literally. It's Kratos. That's it. Move on to the next question.
I guess
Sorry
to
for figuring this out, man.
I guess to quickly conclude the question, my worry is we've already spoken about this, but again, just thinking back about how much there is to Norse mythology, I just hope that the main characters get their screen time. You know, as you've mentioned, Thor, Freya, Kratos, Atreus, and Odin. I just hope that they're justified in who they are, right? And you know, sometimes you watch a movie or you play a game and you're like, okay, this character had no dimensionality. I killed this character. What was what were they? What was their story? So I'm hoping that those main events are really, they get their screen time, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Sozabi Gaming asks, not really a question, but how do you feel about the parallels between Thor and Kratos? Like, they're kind of both the same if you think about it. And I guess that is kind of a question. But let's see. Let's start with history, actually.
Oh, it's quite an interesting question, because there's a lot of contrasting similarities between the two in terms of bloodshed. But I think Thor as a character is both reflective of what Kratos and Atreus both kind of represent, because Atreus, half god, half giant. Same with Thor. The difference, obviously, being that Thor's entire history is kind of like it's just covered in blood, which is kind of representative of what Kratos is or was in that instance. So I like that they've kind of combined both those aspects into one character, and I suppose fighting him would be kind of reflective of that. I do like the similarities the two do share. Ultimately, it comes down to, I don't know, maybe I'm fanboying my brain a bit, but it's kind of like the Blades of Chaos going up against Mjolnir. It's never an idea I thought about like 10 years ago, but now that is actually a possibility and thing. Like that gets me really excited to kind of see it all in motion.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Cuba, actually.
The similarities between Thor and Kratos?
Yeah, do you think do you think you can draw parallels between the two characters? Maybe
Yeah,
Kratos of the past, or
definitely. I just think, yeah, Thor obviously went on this rampage of killing giants, right? And that's very similar to what Kratos did with the entire Greek pantheon. But and I think in God of War Ragnarok he's gonna try and change, but I think unlike Kratos, he's not gonna be successful at it. Something's gonna happen, and he's gonna end up going back to maybe even a worse version of himself, right? So there's definitely some connections between them. I just don't think I put a lot of emphasis on on what fans want, and I don't think Thor making it out alive is something anybody wants. I think he's gonna die by the end, and the reason of his death is gonna be the same rage that Kratos was filled with in God of War 3. So I definitely do see some similarities.
how about Midgard? What do you think of that?
Honestly, I don't really have much to add to this. Like Cuba has said it pretty well. It's a pretty clear parallel that Thor is running with God of War 3 Kratos, and this is actually interestingly something similar to what Baldur went through in the last game, with his whole vengeance thing and how he couldn't forgive, I guess, and he was just consumed by this need for vengeance, and he died at the end, and he paid for it. And Thor his brother is going through a similar thing. It's almost interesting how two sons of Odin ended up very much like Kratos did, and how that's almost more interesting about how Odin will be portrayed, and how did what sort of person he is to create children like this. That's kind of all I have to say about that.
It's actually kind of interesting. Just before Baldur dies, Kratos warns him, like, this path that this path that you're on is not going to end well.
Yeah.
And I think that Thor will be the same. I suppose Kratos kind of got lucky in that he got a second chance, right? He messed up, but he got a second chance. But I think in Thor's case, he's gonna die, and there will be no Helheim, or presumably, and there is no second chance, right? Or rather Valhalla. So I think he's gonna submit to that. And you could kind of argue Kratos did too, but he got the second chance.
What do you himself a second chance though?
Sorry?
He gave himself a second chance. He learned the error of his ways. He knew that you can't just go around killing anybody just for the sake of doing it, because things have consequences. So I think that's the one thing Thor didn't have. He didn't have anybody to try and kind of he's not smart enough to learn himself, and he didn't have anyone to teach him. It's just, I think with having a dad like Odin, who is a war god as well, I think he's just taught him to fight, and that's all he knows, and that's how he responds.
Yeah, like he's just a pawn, a puppet. Yeah.
Pretty much, and that's why I think they are very similar. It's just that Kratos is smart enough to know better now, whereas Thor's just, dumb, sadly.
So I am back.
No worries.
Don't mean to cut anybody off. It's crazy. I just came back and got a DM. This is very, very important, y'all. I have been notified. I'm not sure if it's like I haven't clarified about what specific point in the game it is. I've just been notified that the fight with Thor was leaked, along with character deaths. So get the hell off the internet, boys. Yes.
Let me close Twitter right now, actually.
That is
Wow.
okay. Well, you know
I
what?
don't have
Hold on. I just want to
I
say,
don't have it on.
I just want to speak to the audience about that real quick. This was a worry of mine. It's like, well, first of all, if you want to avoid spoilers, of course, use an alternative YouTube account. Stay away from Twitter. But for the people that are spoiling this game, guys, come on, find a life for yourself. You find pleasure in ruining a game for someone that has potentially been waiting for 4 years. How can you find pleasure in this? It's a horrible thing to do. So, yeah, that's just absolutely horrendous. I didn't expect it to be that soon, right? But we're only, what, 3 weeks away from release? Something like that?
Yeah, wonder, yeah.
I truly wonder if
Oh.
they do it just for the sake of ruining it for everybody, or is there's like
That's
money
exactly why.
involved?
No
You think it's
money.
just
They think this is funny.
no, yeah, as in like leakers, like hey, give me $50 if you show me I'll give you $50 if you show me the Thor fight, and then I get to upload it or something. I wonder if there's something like that, but
Yeah.
But
people are
apparently
straight up
it's-
evil. Yeah.
Apparently, it's a minute of footage that got leaked, and it's very, very important.
Oh,
Is there an actual like conclusion to it as well, like in depth?
I
the
didn't ask.
fight?
I didn't ask.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
All I did was say, "Is like, is that for sure? Is that like at the end point of a game or what?" And all he said was like, "It's really important."
good thing he notified you, man.
Right.
God damn it.
Yeah, good on Martyr for that. That's a good thing to do. I
I'll
suppose.
take it back. I wish they would have sent me a review copy so I would get to avoid this spoilers.
I wouldn't be talking to you guys.
Did I not ask Extreme about?
Yeah, about Thor and Kratos similarities.
Was that the
So they're-
question?
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Do you want to answer first, or Defocus?
No,
do you
no,
want to answer?
Zesty can go ahead. You can
Yeah.
just clarify the question. You can just restate
Okay,
the
mine
question for
yeah.
me.
mine isn't that in depth. So Kratos and Thor are like they're both Pantheon wipers. So we can see the strength in Kratos being reflected with Thor. That's something I also love about the whole this whole saga of Norse. Like you can see the old, kind of rash Kratos in Baldur. You can see the strength in Thor and the kind of the mind in Odin. And it's gonna be my favorite showcase with Thor because we're gonna see the true power of these two going at it. And one more thing, people are saying Kratos is immortal, but what about Thor? Like he can just die and go to Valhalla and come back, right? What's stopping him from coming back? Or am I just missing something here?
You make sense to me.
Like
I
him
And then
going-
they're both equal on that. They can never die.
So I think
Unless you kill their soul, so to speak. If
That'd
that's
be
a
it.
thing.
that'd be
Why
an
didn't
interesting-
Magni come back like that? Just like him, maybe.
the Order of the Valkyries
Valhalla's
wasn't.
been wasted.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense or function normally because of basic. Odin, as smart as he is stupid in that instance of he messed up with the Valkyries and with them kind of gone. We presume they function under the assumption like when gods die, it's them that specifically handpick gods themselves, opposed to just normal spirits to take them there. If they go, they go.
Ah. All right. That's my interpretation for this. I don't know.
So I guess I'll quickly ask you to focus the question. So the question was, not really a question, but how do you feel about the parallels between Thor and Kratos? Like they're both kind of the same if you think about it.
I mean, I believe that's completely intentional.
Yeah.
They are meant to
absolutely.
be shadows, foils of one another. Thor is Kratos if he had continued on his path, likely. Kratos is what Thor could aspire to be, a god trying to do right. And, with the information we know, Thor is possibly trying to be that. But yeah, I absolutely love the similarities between the two. And I feel like they will complement each other very well. I just hope their on-screen chemistry is ideal as it was with Kratos and Baldur, because that dynamic was just so good. And I feel like with Thor it has the potential to be exponentially better.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just to, I guess, conclude that question then, the way I think I mentioned this in one of my videos, when Kratos is going to initially, see how Thor is acting, it's going to be like looking in a mirror. He's like, damn, this is what I was like.
100%.
This is what I was like
Mhm.
before Scandinavia. I was this, I was blinded by my rage, just killing a lot of cases unjustly, and it's just going to be like a reminder, wow, like I really need to be better for my son, because otherwise he's going to end up just like me. and it's gonna. I think it's gonna push him even further to heights we can't even imagine. Like him going to the Blades was something. Who knows? Maybe it's gonna be even greater than that. I wouldn't be surprised.
See the idea of Kratos saying, the gods are bad, there are no good gods. I feel like Thor is essentially the epitome of that. Odin might be terrible in ways, but Thor has done most of the bad deeds, right? Thor is the right hand of God, so to speak. He kills without mercy, and he's just this terrifying being. He probably even more so than Odin, really, with the way he's discussed. So it's going to be impactful.
Personally, I would slightly disagree with that because I think Odin is just really just commanding Thor, right? Thor, do this, do that, clean up the dirty work, right? So I would personally. Sorry, continue.
No, I was saying I honestly believe that Thor is the real main villain. I just feel it. I feel it.
Yeah, I think for Ragnarok, yeah, but in my opinion, I'd say like Odin is probably the vilest of villains you will probably find in the Norse saga, just because he is, the father. He's the one who controls, the 9 realms in some ways.
But I just don't think Odin is going to have an arc. I don't know if that's what we're talking about, but I just don't think Odin is going to have an arc. The arc is going to fall on Thor. Like, he's the one we're going to be dealing with the most. Odin is just going to be like the force that kind of pushes all of these events into motion. Like, just I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, man.
I mean, Odin is gonna just loom around the entire place without really having an arc. Like, he's gonna be the game. That's how I feel like it. Like, the story's gonna move him forward instead of him doing really a lot of stuff to move the story forward.
Yeah.
So I guess we've already kind of answered this. So Syntax asked, predictions on the start menu, background and opening camera shot. Mine is a tree in the forest with Atreus putting his hand on it, as we see in one of the trailers, to mirror the opening shot of the previous game. Is there anything you guys would like to add to that?
Oh, I think there's some. I saw an image today. It's not really I think Santa Monica shared it, but it seems like that's just not gonna be symbolic. That's gonna be a new ability Atreus has, and he's gonna be using it constantly throughout the game. The whole touching things with his hand and revealing something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be a mechanic, but I don't think it's just in the beginning of the game. Is that was that even the question? I don't even.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the question was just like, start menu predictions as to what it's going to look like. You think that could be a trace?
Oh yeah, okay.
Or just opening camera shot, pretty much, yeah.
I think I would stick with what most people believe, and it's like that scene in the cave where he's sharpening the arrows. I think that's the best. I think. I don't know.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Would anyone want to add to that? No.
Actually, I don't know because, I mean, it should be where the game starts, so we don't know where the game starts. Because the moment you press new game, you're instantly there and the camera will never cut, right? So
yes,
I don't know how to answer this without knowing where we start the game. I'm guessing Kratos sitting in the campfire just sharpening the arrows. That's what I'm guessing.
Right, so for the last 2 questions, I know we said we wouldn't speak about lore and predictions, but just because it's in tradition, in the mural, is it Tyr or Kratos? I know there's a bet between Cuba and John, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Who's gonna talk first? You guys go ahead.
Let's start. You know what? Let's start with you since you're already speaking. No, go ahead with it.
I was doing the God of War marathon the other day. Someone just left a small comment, and it has changed my mind completely about the whole thing.
Okay.
And that's kind of the video that I'm working on right now. I don't know when you'll upload this video, so it depending on when you upload this, it might be self-promotion or not.
No, it's fine. No problem at all, man.
But I've recently started to believe that it's Odin. Because
people say this.
Yeah, because all of the other theories, the Tyr theory takes into account that the part of the wall where his hand should be, it's missing, so that symbolizes that it's Tyr. That's beautiful, right? And the Atreus' emotions only make sense if you think it's Kratos, right? But what about the speech coming out of their mouth? It's not the world serpent. Let's be real about that. That's not a likely theory
it's
in
like
my opinion.
Prayer, right?
Speech bubble.
Yeah,
that's right.
The novel mentions as a prayer, I believe, or cursing to the skies.
It's the dying rites, right?
He's
That's right,
just
so
crying. That's all it is. He's just crying.
Well, I
From
think it
the
might be. Think
Call
about
to the Wilds or something.
Yeah, but from the novel, you get it from the perspective of Kratos, and Kratos obviously doesn't understand what's going on. To him, it might seem like it's just weeping and crying, right? But there's too much of an emphasis on the words, I guess. Like the if it was just weeping and crying, they wouldn't have that swirly thing on it. That swirly thing is gonna be important, and I think it's the blood oath between Odin and Loki from the mythology. That's just my theory now. But anyway, I'll let someone else speak, I guess.
I mean, isn't it's I took it as speaking thing is the how in Call to the Wilds or whatever it's called he does the same thing to the deer, and that is that seems like a very intentional callback to the end of 2018, even though Call to the Wilds I think came out before 2018, but that's like a very strong visual suggestion that whoever that Trace is essentially mourning whoever died here, and also how can you do a blood oath if Odin died? But
no, we would have to. They would have to reinvent the whole blood oath, or just create it, because Norse mythology itself doesn't have one. It's just a brief mention, right? But go ahead. Sorry,
just to quickly add on that, I really like what you've just mentioned there, because if you think about it, that's what happened between Kratos and Ares, right? And and like, and it's in his nature too. Like, he's passed it on to Atreus. He's bound to be subjected to this, whether he likes it or not. So I think that's a very good theory. I mean,
I'm convinced more than ever. Like, when you go to the IGN interview, the written one between Eric Williams and IGN, and he talks about how Atreus just wants to get out there, but if he goes out there, these people are gonna mess him up. Like, who are these people? Well, how are they gonna mess him up? Could it be an oath, just like it happened to Kratos? And I just want to say that
would be beautiful,
Atreus is
man.
absent from a lot of scenes in the latest trailer. Like, I wonder if he's with Odin. Whether that's his plan, or not, I don't know. But I believe more than ever than the man in the mural is mural. It's the Odin or is
yes, Mural, the best character.
Mural, yeah.
Mural's dead.
Mural. Right?
Muriel from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah. I think I said it like that once in one of my videos, and people are like, "I'm clicking out. I cannot unhear that ever again."
I remember.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, we're doing the final round, so I'll be there in a sec. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, apologies, Con.
Go be a husband, Cuba.
Defucus, would you like to add on that real quick, or anyone after Defucus?
The mural.
Yep.
I mean,
actually, I got to ask each and every one of you guys about this, because this is very specific. So yeah, sorry, continue.
So I probably have the spiciest take of anyone in here. I'm not thinking too much into it. I feel like it's meant to depict Kratos. I feel like whether it happens or not, who knows? I just feel like that's meant to depict Kratos, because simply, it literally says father betrayal, not necessarily betrayal, but like
fraud or something like that. Yeah.
Deceit, and I mean something shady. But that's simple. Like I don't really want to argue it, because we'd be here all day. True. I just simply believe that it's Kratos. Like, I don't want to get into technicalities. That's just what I interpreted from it.
No worries.
I agree.
You've got the same take, yeah?
Yeah, I kind of came around on it. Like, obviously, everyone thought it's Kratos when we saw it for the first time, and then you get into the theories, and you're like, oh, is it Sindri? Is it Tyr? Is it Mimir? Is it whoever? Is it Persephone?
Is it the boat captain?
Is it the barbarian king? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good one.
Father.
My father would be surprised.
And it's fun to speculate, but like, this is so intentionally deceiving. Corey did this very much on purpose to throw everyone off the
Corey,
set
you
to
sneaky
think,
man.
Oh, this is Kratos, but then they're like, oh, it's not Kratos because his arm is missing, even though it's part of the the stone.
The wall, yeah, and you can't say that it's not Kratos because he doesn't have tattoos, because he's on the right side. It's like it's so well crafted that you are unable to know who it is.
Yeah, you can talk about the differences in outfits all you want, but
I'm gonna spoil my video as well. That's probably out by the time this comes out, but there is a big theme of changing fate in this game. That's back from God of War 2, and Kratos saying there are things that are written for us, but we're above that. Well, to Atreus, and we choose our own destiny. So my take on this is that they find out that this person is Kratos, and then they somehow change their fate, and this never happens. The mural is wrong. That's my take on it. Or it's kind of like, or Atreus thinks that Kratos is dead, and he does the dying rights thing, but Kratos doesn't end up dying. That's kind of my take on it.
How about yourself, Geek?
Thing I would say is quite controversial, but even though Midgard did kind of allude to it,
No thoughts, head empty.
my original thought was Tyr. I mean, I think outside of Kratos, I think most people thought Tyr because of the broken hand. It's a pretty big sign. But after looking at it and looking at all kinds of other things, I've now come to the idea that I do think it is Sindri.
Sindri!
Yeah.
Okay. That was a twist.
Because, like most of us, we all looked at it and thought, right, bang, that's Kratos. I mean, DeFucus and Midgard just kind of touched on that. But at the same time, like, if you take that away and you don't think that Kratos is even an option, then your first thought is probably Tyr.
Yeah, no, I was going to mention that, yeah.
So, no, I mean, if you found it obvious that it's Kratos first, then surely you should do the same when it's Tyr, in my opinion. And I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna be on the mural or not, but like such even minor details as like hair and I mean, if you see Kratos on the mural holding Hildisvini, he's looking right, but you can see his tattoo is on his right side. He's looking right 2 times, and his tattoo is shown both times. And then there's the Spartan loincloth part. It's very visible in each depiction of him on the mural, yet this man doesn't have any of those 2 things. So that's why I definitely don't think it's Kratos. Like Tyr as well. Nothing's to say that. I found things by researching that Tyr doesn't always lose his right hand in mythology. It sometimes is left. Like if you look at the I think the poster where Kratos and Atreus are standing on the Lake of Nine. If you look at the Tyr's statue itself, it's his left side that's broken, and if you look at his portrait picture, it's holding his left hand. Then, if you look at another photo on Google, the joys of Google, you can see probably where they got their inspiration from, because in one of the pictures it shows Tyr holding his right hand. So I think it's kind of the reverse. I do think it's his left hand that's going to be taken, and I think that it makes sense because he seems to care about his like Egyptian arm. Let's call it that. Yeah. So I just think there's. I mean, you guys might think they're only small and ridiculous observations, but
no, they're very solid.
I just think that it's a little too obvious to be Tyr again, as well as Kratos. So I think who else is close to Atreus?
So
Odin. Sorry, go on.
So you believe that there's going to be character development between Sindri and Atreus? Is that fair to say?
I think it's already there, isn't it? I mean, if Sindri was with Kratos and Atreus pretty much throughout their entire journey. And he was the one who gave them the the mistletoe arrows. Without him, they wouldn't have been able to kill Balder fully.
That's true, yeah.
But now that's been confirmed to be just a coincidence too.
Or was it? Doesn't it say like a note on it, like?
I mean, it says, it says, hey, this arrow ended up being what killed Balder, and Brock's like, oh, you ain't like you knew that when you made it, and he said, oh, I trust my instincts. So I mean, it could have been some kind of like cheeky response, but it seems like that just confirmed that it was sheer coincidence.
Yeah,
I just think Sindri is more involved in the actual story than even say Brock. I mean, Sindri even gives them side quest of that opens up the idea of patricide without Sindri and that whole storyline.
Oh, I like that.
So let's
Atreus would never have known.
continue.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Atreus would never have known much about patricide and stuff if Sindri didn't give them that side quest. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I just think there's a lot of little things. I mean, we saved Sindri from a dragon, which could have had him dead, and he dived into the Lake of Souls to get Brock's soul. I just think there's lots of little things that add up to making Sindri way more important than we realize. That's
Right.
just
Yeah.
my take, anyway.
No, I mean that's logical. You couldn't. I mean, it has merit.
Right. Okay. Well, let's hope Furor doesn't watch this because I know she's a big fan of Sindri.
But hey,
I hope neither Brock or Sindri die, but
don't want to cut anybody off.
One of them
But-
at least is gonna. Sorry.
yeah.
We have
I do
updates.
think one of them will, though.
It's
I have
Brock.
an update
Brock's
on the
gonna do.
leak.
What's that?
I have an update on the leak.
Okay.
Okay.
Apparently, it's on YouTube.
Oh,
Stay
God. Damn it.
away from the God of War subreddit because they were talking about it in there. I didn't see anything, but I saw titles talking about it, and I'm pretty sure people are posting links. So
No, a good
Thank
chat
you,
I'm
man.
in here
Thank you.
talking about
I
it.
honestly suggest to you guys to what is it
Delete
like?
everything.
Not delete everything. Just don't let your audience comment in videos. Okay. I know it sucks, but there's always those people there. Unless you have like words specifically set out, so it blocks the comment automatically, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
But-
this specific leak is involving Thor, so that's a word.
Oh my god.
Mm.
Wait,
So
you
horrible.
can block
Anime.
specific comments from being made?
Yeah, you can
Uh,
block certain
YouTube?
words.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Like I use it to block slurs and things like that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off, but that
No,
was
no,
really
it's fine.
important.
No, thanks for
No,
letting us know.
thank you,
Honestly,
bro.
thank you, man.
For real.
Cheers, man.
Moving on to Extreme. What do you think? Who is the guy? in
Mine
the
is a
mural?
quick answer, and it's Kratos, but he's not dead.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
all the
Love that.
okay, thank you.
Is that it? Yeah.
No, for real. If I would add one more thing, and is that all the panels you see, it's
Mhm.
Kratos and Atreus' journey. Why would they just add a panel where it's Atreus and Tyr? It has to be Kratos, but he's just not dead, I guess.
I agree.
How about
So
yourself?
you
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
No,
continue.
no, that's it. I was just like about to say, all the panels depict Atreus and Kratos' story. This one should, of course, have that as well.
Yeah, that is an observation, I suppose. I mean, I'm still convinced it's Tyr, but then Geek has mentioned a really good point, which I've thought about too. Well,
Yeah.
if you think about Corey, right? So how Corey would, well, I'm trying to get into the mind of Corey here. So he's like, okay, well, initially people are going to be like, oh, it's Kratos because of Kratos' reaction. And then you're like, well, if you look at the mural, well, it must be Tyr. And then anyone else, there's no one else in that conversation. So I think just Corey's going to hit us with this twist, and perhaps it's Odin, perhaps it's Sindri. But what do you think, Warrior?
So Tyr and Kratos fusion dance, right? Well, on a real answer, I'm gonna play the safe answer of just saying it's Kratos, but let's be honest, it's not. The guy's too angry to die. The dying is not really a problem for this man, so him being in a mural might be a depiction or like a significant, important thing for this game. Again, we're going to kind of the hypothetical situation, but it was brought up earlier of maybe that actually might be information that Odin has and is holding over what was it, his son's head, and is like, you better follow what I do and every step that I want you to, or that mural, that's gonna be real, and you're gonna have to follow what I do here. So that's how I'm kind of
Interesting take,
perceiving
yeah.
it, not saying it's necessarily something that will happen, but you know, with the amount of significance and foreshadowing that it clearly does have, and we know that Odin, he loves manipulating people. It seems only natural that he would use something that important to someone like that as a way of leveraging his own
Right.
means.
Okay,
Nailed
perfect. Love the answers. Okay, the next question is it's rapid fire, just because I know Cuba has to leave. Say in a few words, right, who this is. Who blew the horn? I'm going to say it's Atreus from the future. Cuba, who do you think it is? Same.
I mean,
Defu-
Kratos and Atreus, yeah.
Okay, DeFucus, who do you think?
Frankly, we don't know enough. I have no answer.
No worries. Geek.
Gaboda.
Okay. Warrior,
Safe answers, Atreus.
Atreus. Extreme,
Loki.
okay, so Atreus. And Midgard.
Yeah, Kratos and Atreus. Time
Oh, both of
traveler.
them. Okay, nice. Okay, this is the actual final question. So, Malatsi Ramogopa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, asks, what's next for all of you after Ragnarok releases? And are you all done theorizing about it? Will it be the end of your channels? Let's start with Extreme.
So, what's next after Ragnarok? I'm expecting all the old games being ported to PS5. Expect remakes, of course. I know I'm talking like a developer, but for real. Remasters for Ascension and stuff. They did say I think they're gonna take a break and chill out with the whole God of War stuff. So I'm expecting only remakes and remasters after God of War Ragnarok. And about the channel, I'm gonna be continuing with my channel.
Perfect. How about you, Midgard?
Yeah, I think obviously we're gonna have a lot of content when Ragnarok comes out, which may take
Can't
up
hear
to a
you
year
at
maybe
all.
to make videos. But my plan is like I'm like Cuba. I don't really want to. I'm not really interested in talking about other games. And I have like a backlist of Greek era videos and stuff. But after Ragnarok is done, and we've like it's like that meme with a cow where she's like, there's like we're milking a dead cow at this point, and I'm gonna finish all of my back catalog videos. I think I'm gonna. Oh, who
Xevnir,
left?
who left?
Oh,
Geek, was
left.
it? Geek.
Anyway,
He's
I
back.
think I'm gonna go into hibernation for a bit until maybe a remake comes out or the next game, and if I'm gonna be like 53 at that point, and if I'm still interested in God of War, maybe I'll come back. But yeah.
What about you, Defocus?
After I do, me personally, in regards to my channel, I plan to make some theories if there are any things that are alluded to or anything that kind of strikes me as odd and out of place, and some type of foreshadowing things. I do plan on still do full retrospectives on the entire series because I just owe it to myself to do that because I've already started. But it's gonna be a long time until the next God of War game, so
Yeah.
I'm not afraid or shy to the idea of sort of varying my content a little bit, but I'll always know exactly where my roots are and just always still kind of show it love every now and again. But hopefully I'm wrong and we do get content like Zesty said in regards to remakes, remasters, things like that, stuff that you can just analyze and talk about, though it's not going to be really all that deep, right? It's going to be the same stuff, but we'll see.
Perfect, yeah. How about yourself, Warrior?
Oh, well, that's an interesting one. So for me, I would definitely be continuing to drop God of War content when, the game has had its hype, maybe DLC later down the line. But for me, till there's like more big news as well, and the next game, maybe a spin-off, who knows? I will be also returning back to my fighting game roots with the announcement of Street Fighter 6, as well as Tekken 8. I will be diving back to that and the eventual Mortal Kombat 12, which will probably be on the horizon around next year. Outside of that, I suppose I'll be getting back into esports commentary alongside those said games, and probably incorporating some other little games into my channel, like maybe if they make another Doom game, I'd love to cover the Doom Slayer at some point. But outside of that, I think that's kind of it.
Oh, I didn't know you did esports commentary. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's why my intro was so professional at the start. It was my esports brain mode. It's like
He's the only one
Yeah, I
who nailed it, let's be honest. He's the only one.
The highest budget for an intro.
And what about yourself, Geek?
Much what most said. If there's content to be made, I guess I'll have a try at it and see what I can make of it. But probably just go dark. I mean, I don't really have any other games that I'm really enjoying at the minute that I could really like deep dive into and make stuff with. I don't know if I'm entertaining enough to like kind of maybe make a gaming channel where I just like do kind of streaming, I guess. I'm quite boring in the sense of like I mainly play open world games and I like to explore everything and collect everything. So that's probably not going to be entertaining for people. So yeah, I'll probably just make the videos I have planned, any that come to mind in the future, and yeah, I'll probably just go dark after that. Continue talking about God of War and hoping to make a new game soon.
Perfect. And of course, Cuba, how about yourself?
Well, I mean, I do think God of War is at a place right now where it's much bigger than what it used to be, right? We have a show coming. I suspect
Oh,
that Santa
yeah.
Monica, Santa Monica itself
Love
like
that good
divided the
show.
team in two, and they're working on two different games at the same time. Um, but as in regards to my channel, I don't know. In a way, I don't really care too much. I think I'm gonna keep it God of War only, just because, like I said at my intro, I don't really care about any other game that much to start covering it, and I want to keep them as games, not a job. You know, this job to me comes pretty easy because I love the game series, right? But I don't want to have to study, I don't know, Warhammer 40K lore to make a video on it. It just doesn't sound fun, right?
Yep.
So I might be looking into turning my YouTube channel into a side hustle thing. The life of a content creator is not, it's not the most fun for me, at least. I don't like the whole idea of having to create content. Like, you have to always come up with new ideas and stuff. Sessy's killing it, by the way. He's always uploading.
Thanks.
He's
That's
always
what I
like
say.
coming like that whole idea of like discussions. Like, why didn't I have that idea? That's such a good idea.
Thanks.
But yeah, I'm not very creative. I'm just a fan, and I think that's what people liked about my videos. That you could see that I'm just geeking out, right? But this year itself, like, I've kind of moved away a little bit more away from lore, and I like gameplay. I like discussing other things. Like I said in my latest video, I didn't analyze the lore. I was just geeking out about the art style, and I don't know. It feels good because for a point, I was having a lot of fun with theories, right? But then it kind of became the job, and I don't know. I'm having more fun now just being a God of War fan and just talking about other things other than theories, right? So I feel like that's what's gonna be my channel, what my channel's gonna look like after the game comes out, right? Of course, I'll do theories and all that, but yeah, like you guys have said, kind of going through hibernation for a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, you're pushing 200k subscribers, so that's crazy.
Yeah, man. Congrats.
thank
Almost.
Thank you.
Congrats on that.
Thank you guys,
Yes.
sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you're probably hit 200k by December.
The
But
thing is,
after Ragnarok comes out, man.
Oh boy, when Ragnarok comes out, we eating good.
the thing is, I'm not saying this to be detrimental. I'm not someone who wanted to be a YouTuber. This just kind of happened to me. So like these ideas don't come to be naturally. So I don't even know where I was going with this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I just want to have fun with the channel. It's probably gonna stay God of War only, right? But
That's the
I
most
hope it
important thing.
stays.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all that matters, bro.
Yeah.
What about you, Zev?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean, I'm kind of in a similar boat to you guys, like just want to keep having fun, but I do want to say for everyone and also for Shane and John, I know they're not in the call today, but as cliche as it sounds, I feel like we all have something like special. I know, well, special, we make videos, but it's like I think the fact that there are people out there, even if that's like just 1,000 people or whatever that are willing to watch us, I think that speaks volumes, right? There's someone out there that actually genuinely finds your content entertaining, and that's like a really difficult thing to say. But of course, you know, if you want to make it into a job, completely understand that. But at least for me, I hope that I can continue to go on after Ragnarok, and I'm thinking maybe general video game videos, I suppose, just on everything. I made a few videos previously before I came back to God of War, and that's something I would like to explore more. But yeah, we're at least a few months away from that after Ragnarok releases. So yeah, I mean, I just want to thank all of you guys. Honestly, I know it's been about over 2.5 hours. Honestly, so thank you so much to all of you guys that have took the time to chat here and
You guys
taking the
are the
time
best for real.
out of your busy
Thanks for
schedules.
having us.
Yeah. This
Shout out
was
to
an
Shane
absolute pleasure.
sending all the God of War Ragnarok merch.
Much love to my Silent Hill brother John.
Hashtag
there's
John
those
and Shane
guys.
are playing the game right now. They got an early copy.
Yeah,
Let's
Yeah.
not kid
they're just
ourselves.
chilling right now. They're just playing it. Yeah, but yeah, no.
Shane definitely has one. He's freaking getting it.
But yeah, no. Thank you so much, guys, and like, if any of you guys are, I don't know, interested post Ragnarok or pre Ragnarok to speak about something, just let's hit each other up. And yeah, once again, thank you. And on that
Very,
note,
very much.
sorry.
I just wanted to say, of course, like to me, this is beyond just YouTube and games. Like I consider you guys, acquaintances, friends,
Brothers.
whatever you want to call it. Like I'm more than okay with just
For
chilling with
real,
y'all,
bro. This is just
shooting the breeze.
nerding
anytime.
out with you guys the best thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I can never have that anywhere else.
Should all get together and play Uno online.
I think we should.
That sounds
Yeah,
sounds great.
let's make that happen. Uno online for
Be
sure.
the worst thing for us.
And on that note, guys, and remember,
Oh my
forth.
god.
in the name of Ragnarok. No. Do you guys want to outro it too? You know what? Let's outro it together, right? Shall we?
Which one are we doing? Which one are we
Um,
Your stream gamer Zesty.
We can do all of them. You know what? Screw it.
Very much for
Let's do-
watching.
I don't have an outro. so
And
I just feel
remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok. There we go. All right.
The Ragnarok.
Can we say it in sync? It might be a bit much to ask.
Okay, all right,
No,
let's do
we
it.
can't.
Okay. After
Let's do it.
after
Someone's
one.
gotta count. Xevnir, you count. Okay.
Okay.
What our
3,
connection, yo.
Copyrighted, man.
2, 1,
And
0.
And
Remember,
Go
go
forth.
forth in the name of Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Suck. All right.
That's weird image. Clapping.
Brilliant. All right, guys, take care.
Follow.